Chapter 1287, Lin Feng vs. Si Kong Xiao. Si Kong Xiao had forced the Black Mage to hand over the flute, and in the end, the Black Mage had given it to him. And finally, when the crowd thought that Si Kong Xiao would keep the flute for himself, Lin Feng arrived with Jianghe's strongest cultivators. Lin Feng and the Black Mage were different. Lin Feng had come with strong cultivators from Jianghe. Even without them, Lin Feng had already amazed people and possessed Emperor Wu Tianjian's sword. Since emperors couldn't come to Shuiyu, with his social status in Shuiyu, Lin Feng was stronger than all those influential imperial groups. Lin Feng was standing in the sky and looking down at Si Kong clan in a disdainful way. For the Si Kong clan, the fact that Lin Feng was asking Si Kong Xiao to hand over the flute was a humiliation. He's as incredible as the rumors say. He killed Qi Tiansheng and by Qiu Luo, now he's looking at Si Kong Xiao in a disdainful way. Thought many people who were looking at Lin Feng. Si Kong Xiao raised his head and said indifferently, "Lin Feng, the flute is now mine, don't you think asking me for it is a bit ridiculous?" "Surround him," said Lin Feng. In a flash, the strong cultivators from Jianghe surrounded the Si Kong clan and oppressed them with terrifying energies. The crowd was astonished. Lin Feng was even more aggressive than Si Kong clan. How could they know that the Black Mage and Lin Feng were the same person? Lin Feng couldn't give up the flute, therefore he had first fought Si Kong Xiao as a Black Mage to see how strong Si Kong Xiao was. "You just stole the demon flute from someone else. Since it's that way, I can also steal it from you. It's not an item which initially belonged to the Si Kong clan," said Lin Feng calmly. He didn't sound arrogant at all, but he still gave that different impression to people. "Therefore, you have 10 seconds, said Lin Feng smiling. If Si Kong Xiao didn't hand over the demon flute, what would happen? Besides, no matter if the strong cultivators from Jianghe attacked or not, if Lin Feng unsheathed Emperor Wu Tianjian's sword, nobody would be left. "Brother Lin, why act like that?" said Si Kong Xiao. It sounded so fake when he said, "Brother Lin." 8 seconds, said Lin Feng, still sounding nonchalant. "You're not the only one who has an imperial weapon," said Si Kong Xiao. 6 seconds, said Lin Feng. The crowd was impatient to see what would happen. "Brother Lin, we are not at the end of our lives yet. In the future, we'll meet again," said Si Kong Xiao. 3 seconds left, replied Lin Feng, this time releasing some qi. At the same time, the strong cultivators from Jianghe also released some whistling sword qi. When Si Kong Xiao saw that Lin Feng had ignored him again, he smiled indifferently and said, "Since you want it that much, I'll give it to you." 1 second, said Lin Feng. At the same time, Si Kong Xiao threw the flute at Lin Feng. The flute turned into a sharp sword and as it flew at Lin Feng. "Thank you very much, Master Si Kong," said Lin Feng, grabbing the flute indifferently and put it in his ring. Si Kong Xiao is quite strong, thought Lin Feng. Si Kong Xiao didn't look as angry as when he was facing the Black Mage. He also didn't release any qi. He remained calm because he knew how the cultivation world worked. When facing the Black Mage, he knew he could win thanks to his clan, but against Lin Feng, his group was weaker. "I know that you're an incredible cultivator. You even defeated Long Teng from Tianlong Divine Castle and Qi Tiansheng from the Qi clan. I've always wanted to exchange views on cultivation with you. What do you think about exchanging a few attacks?" asked Si Kong Xiao. He had given Lin Feng the flute and now he was asking to exchange a few attacks. "That would be an honor and a pleasure," said Lin Feng smiling. Even though no treasures were involved, seeing two incredible cultivators fight was always a pleasure. "Thank you very much, Brother Lin," said Si Kong Xiao. Then he jumped forwards and released whistling qi towards Lin Feng. His qi was completely different. His celestial vision turned into a beam which distorted the space around it. Lin Feng smiled thinly and closed his eyes. He released threads of godly awareness. Even though his eyes were closed, he could still see the surroundings and wouldn't be affected by the celestial vision. "Celestial vision, territory," shouted Si Kong Xiao. A territory appeared and the space became even more distorted. "Die!" shouted Si Kong Xiao, raising his hands. Beams of light appeared and pierced through the territory. Lin Feng didn't look at it. He simply released sword and thunder energies in his hands. Boom! Si Kongxiao jumped forwards. He punched the air in Lin Feng's direction, causing rumbling sounds to be heard. "Break!" shouted Lin Feng. His sword streaked across the sky as he used his desolate Xana attack. "Slow," said Si Kongxiao. The distorted space slowed Lin Feng's sword down and fission abstruse energies crashed onto the sword lights. Si Kongxiao's fist was faster as it pierced through Lin Feng's sword lights. "What an incredible attack," thought the crowd sighing. Lin Feng's sword lights faded and even dispersed as they colliding with Si Kongxiao's fist. "Demonic destruction territory," said Lin Feng. He suddenly opened his eyes and instantly lights emerged from them. He wanted to injure Si Kongxiao's visual attack. At the same time, he released restrictive energies which surrounded Si Kongxiao. Now, his fist could barely move forwards. Boom! Lin Feng jumped ahead while releasing demonic thunderous energies capable of blotting out the sky. Si Kongxiao's facial expression changed drastically as he condensed some force to block the attack. "Lacerate," said Lin Feng. "Slow." Boom boom boom. A trail was left behind the sword chi. Si Kongxiao's fist and the sword chi collided. The space around them became even more distorted. Si Kongxiao was propelled back of a few thousand meters and his fist was bleeding. Chapter 1288. Tang Yu's news, demonic chi rising to the skies, an ever-conquering sword, Si Kongxiao lost again, thought the crowd astonished. Si Kongxiao was already very strong with his celestial vision, territorial attack, his fission and speed abstruse energies. If Lin Feng didn't have his demonic territory and his incredible demonic chi, he might have lost. Si Kongxiao had lost twice that day, so now he was using his blood to recover. But the two battles were different. Si Kongxiao wasn't afraid of the Black Mage, but against Lin Feng, he had to be very careful. Si Kongxiao smiled at Lin Feng and said, "Brother Lin, you're an extraordinary cultivator. It's normal that Qi Tiansheng lost against you. I'm off now." Then Si Kongxiao left. He didn't look unhappy at all. "At the meeting of the emperors, we'll fight again, Brother Lin," said Si Kongxiao from very far away. Lin Feng raised his head and looked at Si Kongxiao in the horizon. He noticed that Si Kongxiao had turned his head and that dazzling lights were flashing in his eyes. Lin Feng looked at him. He wasn't satisfied. His facial expression was the same as Si Kongxiao. His eyes were filled with sharp lights. It was different from his battle against Qi Tiansheng. Lin Feng had now broken through to the 9th Tianqi layer, and yet Si Kongxiao still posed a threat to him. His fission and speed abstruse energies were scary. Besides, Lin Feng knew that Si Kongxiao had other hidden skills that he would use only in case of a battle to death. "The meeting of the emperors?" whispered Lin Feng. He didn't know what the meeting of the emperors was. Would it attract all the emperors of Ba Huang? Mu Fanchen looked at Lin Feng in a deep and meaningful way. Then his silhouette flickered and he left. Back in Fortune City, he hadn't paid too much attention to Lin Feng. He only started paying attention to Lin Feng when the diviner said that he wanted to recruit Lin Feng as a disciple. Then, after that, Lin Feng had continually amazed the province. "Prince Lin, you're amazing," said Yiren Lei smiling in a seducing way. "I really don't deserve so much praise, Yiren Lei," said Lin Feng smiling. Yiren Lei shook her head and said, "I remember when I tried to defeat you with a song, but it didn't work and now I'm too weak. Amongst the 10 strongest young cultivators, nobody can defeat you anymore," said Yiren Lei, not hiding the fact that she had tried to defeat him back then. "Yiren Lei, you're so gorgeous. If you continue flattering me, I'm going to lose my mind," said Lin Feng jokingly. Yiren Lei smiled and looked at Lin Feng. She even looked a bit shy. She then said in a gentle way, "If you think I'm that gorgeous, why not consider you and I getting together? Come at her." The 6 heavens of desire and passion. Lin Feng grinded his teeth and released demonic energies. "Are you trying to defeat me using your spell again?" said Lin Feng smiling wryly. "Why do you think it's not the truth?" said Yiren Lei smiling. Then she smiled proudly and said, "All right, I'm off. If I continue to stay here, I'll just annoy you." Then Yiren Lei left and all the girls from the Heavens of Desire's palace followed her. "She's so incredible," But why did she choose that kind of cultivation? Whispered Lin Feng. If she continued on that path, she'd just become an ordinary cultivator. Lin Feng walked towards Qing Meng Exin and smiled in a gentle way. Long time no see. Qing Meng Exin looked at him shyly. She was so happy to see him again, but she felt awkward too because he was so strong and she felt so weak. Long time no see, said Qing Meng Exin shyly yet smiling. Even though Lin Feng still seemed warm and friendly as before. She still remembered how terrifying and aggressive he was when he fought Si Kong Xiao a moment before. How's Lan Jiao? Asked Lin Feng smiling. Qing Meng Exin looked at him in a strange way, then she smiled and said, if she knew that Lin Feng, who could now kill Zun cultivators, still remembered her, she'd be extremely happy. Back then we were all together. Even if we didn't see each other a lot, I still remember everyone. No matter their cultivation level, my friends are my friends, said Lin Feng, raising his head and gazing into the distance. Maybe you can think that way, but I can't, especially when facing an extremely strong cultivator like you, said Qing Meng Exin smiling wryly. How are Jun Emoshi and Tang Yuyu? Jun Emoshi is alright, he's become the young master of the Celestial Palace of the Immortals, and Yuyu I don't know, I still wonder, sighed Lin Feng. Young master of the Celestial Palace of the Immortals. Qing Meng Exin was astonished. Jun Emoshi had become the young master of a Celestial Palace and she still admired ordinary Zun cultivators. What's wrong with Yuyu? She was kidnapped and disappeared. I was wondering, did she appear in Dragon Mountain? Qing Meng Exin's eyes twinkled as she said, I know some things happened at the Tang clan recently, I don't know if they have any contact with her though. Really? Asked Lin Feng. Lin Feng knew he was overreacting. What happened at the Tangs? I'm not sure, it wasn't a long time ago. Then I heard that strong cultivators had appeared in Shuiyu, so I came and I was surprised when I saw all this, said Qing Meng Exi. Emperors? Great emperors? She had never thought she'd ever see such terrifying cultivators. Maybe I should go back to Dragon Mountain when I'm done in Shuiyu, thought Lin Feng. Chapter 1289, 9 Netherworld's Demon Lotus. Lin Feng, you don't need to stay with me if you're busy, said Qing Meng Exin smiling at Lin Feng. She knew that Lin Feng and her were now different people. She thought that Lin Feng was talking to her because he remembered her from the past, but if he had ignored her, she would understand. Lin Feng looked at her and didn't say much. If you hear about her, come to Tiantai in Ba Huang Province to find me, or go to the Imperial Palace of Yangzhou City. I will, said Qing Meng Exin nodding and smiling. She said goodbye and left. You can all go, said Lin Feng indifferently to the strong cultivators from Jianghe. They turned into sharp swords and left again. They knew Lin Feng didn't like being followed. After they left, he turned into a black mage again and the demonic Zun cultivators began following him. Lin Feng found it more convenient to walk around as a black mage because everybody already knew him in the Ba Huang province, and the Qi clan and Tianlong Divine Castle didn't like him at all. Now that the Demon Palace had appeared, he probably wouldn't find that many treasures anywhere else. He already had the flute, so he still needed to find out what the flute could do. Disperse, said Lin Feng. All the Zun cultivators who followed him dispersed in the small world. Of course, if Lin Feng needed them again, he would be able to call them back. Boom! Terrifying sounds came from the distance. Lin Feng glanced around and saw some gloomy clouds and some demon fire. Bzz. Lin Feng turned into a beam of light as he moved in that direction. There's a treasure. Everybody assumed that the sudden fire must be indicative of treasures. The atmosphere was illuminated. Light beams appeared everywhere. Lin Feng realized that many people were coming. There were too many strong cultivators. I wonder what treasure has been found. It has definitely attracted many strong cultivators. There were 9 black lotus petals, but it wasn't a real lotus, it was a fire lotus. Nobody knew just how terrifying it was. Many Zun cultivators looked at it from far away. Even Zun cultivators couldn't approach because they feared it was too powerful. If I had the sky-absorbing picture scroll I could get, thought a cultivator at the top of the Zun Qi layer. Qi Yun was stupid. Not only hadn't he managed to kill Lin Feng, but Lin Feng had also broken the sky-absorbing picture scroll, an imperial weapon. Why had the emperor given the sky-absorbing picture scroll to Qi-yun? Lin Feng glanced at them, but they couldn't know it was him. Lin Feng quickly looked elsewhere and saw a beast with red and dark hair whose hair was on fire. Had he released that fire? Lin Feng went over to Qiongqi and asked him, using telepathy, "Emperor, did you release that fire?" Qiongqi glanced around and looked at Lin Feng. He slightly opened his mouth, showing his white fangs. "Little boy, you're better than me at hiding who you really are," said Qiongqi using telepathy. Lin Feng had too many faces. "What's that black fire?" asked Lin Feng. "Bullshit, apart from me, who else could release a 9 netherworlds demonic fire?" said Qiongqi, raising his head. He looked proud and satisfied. Lin Feng almost burst into laughter when he looked at his hair again. The netherworld demon emperor's fire, thought Lin Feng. Apart from the 3 lives scriptures, he had been looking for something else. "How do you use it?" asked Lin Feng. "He ran away, so it's complicated now," said Qiongqi, annoyed. "He ran away? Could that fire run away on its own?" "Yes, that's the fire the netherworld demon emperor used to control, the 9 netherworlds demon lotus. It can come to life and turn into a demon lotus, but I almost got it before it ran away again. Even cultivators at the top of the Zun Qi layer can't get close, otherwise they'd burn. Imperial weapons are also useless. The members of the Qi clan are stupid. How could a sky-absorbing picture scroll absorb such a fire?" said Qiongqi. "How scary," thought Lin Feng, shivering. If cultivators at the top of the Zun Qi layer couldn't get near it, and if imperial weapons were useless, then how was it possible to get that fire? "Since there's no hope, what are you doing here?" asked Lin Feng to Qiongqi. "There's hope," said Qiongqi. Chapter 1290, Yan Di and the Spirit, There's Hope. Lin Feng was surprised. "Lin Feng, let's talk about something," said Qiongqi. He suddenly sounded really nice. "What?" said Lin Feng. "Apart from your 9-headed dragon spirit, you have another spirit, right?" asked Qiongqi. His eyes were twinkling. "That bastard!" Even Lin Feng's parents didn't know about that. Apart from the netherworld demon emperor who had inspected his memories, nobody could know about it. How did Qiongqi know about that? "As expected," said Qiongqi, looking at Lin Feng. "No wonder." Qiongqi remembered what the netherworld demon emperor had said, "If you feel like it someday, help me kill the 3 lives demon emperor." The 3 lives great emperor? How could the netherworld demon emperor say such an incredible thing? He had lost to the 3 lives great emperor, so why would Lin Feng be able to kill him? Lin Feng looked at Qiongqi, wondering what he wanted. "What does it have to do with that spirit?" asked Lin Feng. "Of course it has something to do with it. Is there a depopulated place in your spirit? A kind of desert?" asked Qiongqi. Lin Feng was shocked again. How could Qiongqi know that much? His celestial book spirit did have a sort of desert. "I'm asking you what it has to do with my spirit?" asked Lin Feng again. How could Qiongqi know so much? "Bastard, I'm your friend, I just want to help you get that fire," said Qiongqi. "All right, reply to me." "I don't believe you," said Lin Feng nonchalantly. Qiongqi looked at him angrily, but considering Lin Feng's reply, he thought he had guessed right. "So you really have that special body," whispered Qiongqi. Even though he had guessed about it a long time before, he had never been sure. It was impossible to see that kind of special body. Only those who perfectly understood Lin Feng could know about it. Besides, how could the diviner know about it? Qiongqi didn't believe everything the diviner said, but because he had observed everything Lin Feng did in Fortune Shrine, he had guessed about it. Qiongqi now believed the predictions from the diviner. He had studied the celestial divination technique after all, but he didn't believe he was omniscient. Besides, he was already so strong and he knew everything there was to know about cultivation, so predicting people's futures couldn't be hard for him. "If we manage to get the 9 netherworlds demon lotus, we'll be able to force everyone here to leave Shuiyu. These 2 small worlds will become yours alone," said Qiongqi. He remained silent for a few seconds and said, "What are the requirements?" "After you get the 9 netherworlds demon lotus, I need you to transform it for me, and then everything in those 2 small worlds will be yours. What do you think?" asked Qiongqi. His eyes were filled with the flames of ambition. Lin Feng looked at the fire. He was even more interested now. Don't you want the 3 live scriptures? Asked Lin Feng. I don't know if we can get them, but if you do find them, you can keep them, said Qiongqi happily. He wanted that Devamara fire more than anything else. Don't worry, I will protect you, and after I obtain the fire, I will even help you protect the small worlds with the fire. Since emperors can't come here, who else will dare? Continued Yen Di. Lin Feng's eyes twinkled as he said, Deal. What do you want me to do? Asked Lin Feng. He didn't know how to use his spirit for that. Don't you have Emperor Wu Tianjian's sword? Make everyone leave. Piss off, said Lin Feng. Lin Feng only had 2 more uses. He didn't want to waste those opportunities. You have to think of a solution yourself, otherwise I'll take back my word, said Lin Feng. Qiongqi looked at him surprised and said, You can't use it as many times as you wish? You're asking too much, replied Lin Feng. I will regret it if we talk about it any more. You're not nice, but I'll attack myself then, said Qiongqi. Then he left. The members from the Qi clan have empty space spirits, right? Why not try using them? Said a voice loudly. It was a cultivator at the top of the Zun Qi layer from the Wen clan. The Qi clan and the Wen clan were at war, so it made sense that they'd mock each other. The cultivators at the top of the Zun Qi layer from the Qi clan were furious. A cultivator at the top of the Zun Qi layer from the Qi clan jumped forwards and released energies. Golden empty spaces appeared around him, and quickly, golden lights emerged from his body and turned into a blood spirit. His spirit was similar to Qi Tiansheng's, but more powerful. It was said that the sky-absorbing picture scroll had been created using Emperor Qi's spirit. Go! Shouted the cultivator at the top of the Zun Qi layer. Millions of threads of empty space energies descended from the sky as the cultivator at the top of the Zun Qi layer from the Qi clan descended. A terrifying black fire surrounded the golden lights. The Qi clan Zun cultivator's golden threads burnt immediately and then moved towards the Zun cultivator's spirit. It also burns empty space strength. What a terrifying fire. If he had used his spirit at first, it would have burnt in the blink of an eye. Thought the crowd. The cultivator at the top of the Zun Qi layer from the Qi clan rose up in the air immediately. He moved as far away as he could from the fire, his face now deathly pale. He failed, his spirit is not strong enough, thought the crowd. Even cultivators at the top of the Zun Qi layer couldn't get close. At that moment, someone else moved forwards, wanting to try as well. A cultivator at the top of the Zun Qi layer from Fire Mountain. Emperor Yan was the strongest fire cultivator from the Ba Huang province. Could his cultivators at the top of the Zun Qi layer handle such a fire? The cultivator at the top of the Zun Qi layer jumped forwards and 9 sun patterns appeared. The suns began rotating above him. 9 suns, absorb, shouted the cultivator at the top of the Zun Qi layer loudly. The 9 suns rotated faster and faster, absorbing the demon fire Qi slowly while making the 9 suns become more dazzling. Can he really absorb it? Thought the crowd. Qiongqi raised his head and looked at the cultivator in a disdainful way. That guy just overrated himself, he isn't strong enough. Qiongqi jumped forwards and landed on the ground. Marks suddenly appeared and moved towards the 9 netherworlds demon lotus. In a flash, the 9 netherworlds demon lotus was surrounded and the flower opened itself. The 9 petals became larger and turned into 9 gigantic petals. Everybody moved even farther away. When the 9 suns collided with the lotus, they completely disappeared. The Fire Mountain cultivator's face turned deathly pale. He immediately rose up in the air and left. How terrifying, thought the crowd. After the 9 suns were destroyed, the petals calmed down again. Chapter 1291. Dark type. It's impossible to take those 9 petals, thought the crowd. Even the cultivators at the top of the Zun Qi layer from Fire Mountain had failed. If the Qi clan still had their imperial weapon, they could have taken it, thought some people. Without imperial weapons, it was almost impossible to get that fire. What if we try to break the ground? Suggested a cultivator. Everybody looked at him in a strange way. Maybe the demon fire is a terrifying living being which lives underground and that what we see here is just the tip of the iceberg, a kind of illusion, said someone else. Let's dig around first, said the cultivator of the top of the Zunqi layer. Cultivators at the top of the Zunqi layer made the decision, so everybody else had nothing to say. Everybody move back, said all the cultivators at the top of the Zunqi layer. Everybody moved far away. Lin Feng was wondering digging around was a good thing? Would Qiongqi's plan still work if they dug around? Everybody moved far away in the distance and Lin Feng asked Qiongqi using telepathy, "What do you want me to do?" "Let's go," said Qiongqi rising up in the air. Lin Feng followed him a bit farther away. "Let's start," said the cultivators at the top of the Zunqi layer loudly. Immediately, someone released terrifying empty space energies as sharp as blades and attacked the area around the fire. "Break!" shouted another cultivator at the top of the Zunqi layer. Lights flooded the area, a strong wind started blowing, fissures and cracks appeared all around the fire. At the same time, some other cultivators at the top of the Zunqi layer attacked as well. Pieces of the ground exploded all around. Over there! The crowd was staring at the scene. A small lotus with 9 petals was visible. It wasn't big, but above it, there was a gigantic lotus with 9 petals, of which the demon fire emerged. The small lotus with the 9 petals must be the real body of the plant. The demon fire was releasing terrifying black fire chi which dashed to the skies. The sky became darker and darker, but it was still possible to see the greed on those cultivators' faces. "They're acting recklessly," thought Qiongqi smiling coldly. "Piss off," shouted the cultivators at the top of the Zunqi layer at the same time. Nobody had gotten the lotus yet, but they were already fighting. "I'm the one who released the water energies. Do you think you can steal the demon fire from me?" said a cultivator. Immediately after, the crowd saw someone emerging from the water under the lotus. A huge hand appeared and moved towards the 9 netherworld's demon lotus. Someone was trying to steal it. A painful shout spread in the air. The cultivator at the top of the Zunqi layer was immediately swallowed and killed by the fire. His ashes rested on the water. "We can't touch it," everyone just realized. "Let's go." The faces of the cultivators at the top of the Zunqi layer turned deathly pale. They looked at the fire and moved back quickly. The fire was growing now. "Let's go," said Qiongqi to Lin Feng using telepathy. Lin Feng was staring at the fire, but then he immediately moved towards, following orders. Threads of fire surrounded him and Lin Feng realized that fire couldn't burn, but it was still very powerful. He did it. Lin Feng was surprised. Qiongqi had probably made that fire because he wanted people to leave. "There's a madman," thought the crowd when they saw Lin Feng. He was surprisingly walking to the fire against all odds. Lin Feng and Qiongqi both walked to the fire. The crowd in the distance looked at the black fire rising to the skies. They couldn't help but think it was a pity. That fire could have been useful, especially for those cultivators at the top of the Zunqi layer. "Someone is trying to commit suicide," thought the crowd when they saw that some people were going into the fire. They were probably dead already. Qiongqi slowly walked towards Lin Feng and said, "Release your spirit, I'll help you." Lin Feng looked at him angrily. Qiongqi always pretended that he did things to help. But Lin Feng listened to him and released his celestial book spirit. Qiongqi was incredulous. In the continent of the 9 clouds, very few people had such a spirit, and finally, Qiongqi had the opportunity to see what it looked like. "Did you have your spirit at birth or did it awake later?" asked Qiongqi. "At birth," said Lin Feng. He didn't come from that world, but when he had arrived, he already had that spirit. After that, it had become a celestial book spirit and had granted him the ability to see everything clearly. At the beginning, it was just a dark world which I could use to sense everything in my surroundings better. Then, it became a celestial book spirit," said Lin Feng. "That's its type," said Qiongqi. It was a dark type spirit. No wonder Lin Feng could practice demon and cursing cultivation so well. He had a dark type spirit. "Dark eyes, dark sword, dark fire lotus, dark world," whispered Qiongqi. Indeed, as he had started to turning the pages, he came across those same skills. Dark type. Qiongqi definitely knew something. Chapter 1292. Peeling off a page. "Emperor, what's wrong with my special body and spirit?" asked Lin Feng. Qiongqi, just like the diviner, probably knew something about Lin Feng's special body, and his celestial book spirit also seemed particular. What's wrong? There's nothing wrong, you're very strong. Your special body and your spirit are closely interconnected. Your spirit determines your special body actually, said Qiongqi like it was a fact. Lin Feng also knew that was common. He had noticed that a few times, for example, Sikong Zhao's spirit was the celestial vision, and his special body was characterized by his celestial eyes. All right, we have some things to do right now, said Qiongqi even though Lin Feng still had questions. Lin Feng, you can't release that spirit in front of other people, otherwise they'll kill you. Also, don't show everyone everything you can do when you fight. If you use several types of abstruse energies, plus your sword skills and techniques, plus your demon and cursing skills and techniques, some stronger cultivators will be able to guess what kind of spirit you have, said Qiongqi looking at the sky. By the way, you've been hiding who you are and it's perfect that way. From now on, you and the Black Mage are two different people. Don't let anyone find out that you're the Black Mage. Of course, it's also difficult to completely hide who you are, so you can show a little, for example that you know several sorts of abstruse energies. Several sorts of abstruse energies, whispered Lin Feng. Qiongqi nodded and said, even though it's quite complicated, some geniuses can manage to learn up to 10 sorts of abstruse energies. Ba Huang province is too small and you haven't seen much of the world yet. For example, even though the celestial dragon body is a special body, it's an extremely bad one. Believe me, people who can become great emperors all have a special body, a very, very powerful one. Even if emperors have a special body, understanding several sorts of abstruse energies is still important, explained Yan Di. Lin Feng's mouth twitched. What you mean to say is that my special body is better than understanding 10 different types of abstruse energies and that I can't let people know about it? You come from a tiny country, Shuiyu, you should be an insignificant insect, but you have amazed the whole province of Ba Huang, but you're still too weak. You're slowly becoming stronger, but you still need to understand more things. We'll have to continue traveling around the continent, said Qiongqi. I think that if you find the 3 live scriptures, you should definitely study them, it would be a great decision, whispered Qiongqi. If Lin Feng found the 3 live scriptures, he would then have 3 bodies in one and he would be able to practice lots of different skills and techniques. He would also be able to hide. Nobody would need to know that the 2 other people were Lin Feng. Qiongqi looked at Lin Feng's spirit and said, the 3rd page of your spirit is a black fire, but the fire from the 9 netherworlds demon lotus needs to be mine. Turn to the 4th page and use it for the 9 netherworlds demon lotus. Invoke the 4th page? Said Lin Feng stupefied. You moron, have you never tried? Said Qiongqi rolling his eyes. What an idiot, he didn't even know how to use his spirit properly. If you have a book spirit, you can invoke pages, otherwise what would be the point? Said Qiongqi grinding his teeth. Lin Feng laughed. He had never tried. Lin Feng raised his head and looked at the dazzling book floating in the air. Appear! Shouted Lin Feng. The 4th page from his book started shaking violently and a desolate world of darkness appeared. It worked. Lin Feng was staring at the celestial book spirit. Lin Feng began using his celestial book spirit to absorb the lights around him. His desolate, dark world wasn't dark anymore, it was suddenly filled with colors. The 4th page shook and finally, it tore away from book and appeared in the sky. Lin Feng could sense that the connection between the golden page and him was very strong. The connection between the soul and the body was made through the spirit. Just like the celestial eyes or the silver wings, his celestial book spirit could also be evoked. If you were my disciple, I would slap you, said Qiongqi annoyed. Surprisingly, Lin Feng had never tried to invoke his spirit. Lin Feng smiled wryly. So now, you understand what you have to do, right? Qiongqi raised his head and looked at the demon lotus and the black flames. The cultivators at the top of the Zunqi layer from the Qi clan couldn't take it. Are you sure I can with just 1 page? Asked Lin Feng in a low voice. What is on that page? Asked Qiongqi. Lin Feng nodded. The golden page became bigger. It didn't look like a golden page anymore. It looked like a desolate field with strange marks on the ground. He had copied those marks from the palace in Tiantai. Lin Feng only now realized that they had turned into marks in that desolate world. Rumbling sounds appeared as demonic energies rose up and blotted out the sky. The desolate world moved towards the 9 netherworld's demon lotus. As if the demon lotus sensed something, it started shaking and created an even more intense demon fire. Many people looked in that direction again. The 9 netherworld's demon lotus rose up in the air and Lin Feng shouted, "Take!" Rumbling sounds appeared as the gigantic desolate world moved towards the 9 netherworld's demon lotus and enveloped it. Whistling sounds went far and wide. At that moment, many people looked at the lotus, which was now moving into an empty space. They were astonished as they saw a desolate world seemingly enveloping the lotus. It looked like a vast field and a book at the same time. Bzz. The desolate field enveloped the demon fire and then the field moved back into the darkness. Someone is using a precious treasure to steal the demon fire, thought the crowd. Surprisingly, someone had managed to steal the demon fire after they all ran away. The desolate area they saw had to be a treasure. Boom! Some silhouettes rose up in the air and moved back in that direction. Someone had taken it already, so that was even better. Now, they would just have to kill the one who had obtained it and they might get an imperial weapon with it. Chapter 1293, Yendi's Pride, Boom Boom Boom. The rumbling sounds didn't stop as Lin Feng's desolate area absorbed the 9 netherworld's demon lotus. Terrifying flames rose to the skies as it seemed like Lin Feng's desolate area was going to burn. That fire wasn't scorching hot though, it was ice cold, the kind of coldness that could burn. "How do I keep it under control?" asked Lin Feng. His golden page was turning into a demonic field and he had taken the fire now, but his whole body was shaking. "Give it to me. Lend me that page from your spirit," said Xiongqi. Then he turned into a Taoist monk again. "You turn into a Taoist monk again?" asked Lin Feng. Wasn't Xiongqi afraid of the repercussions? "Why would I be afraid? I'm doing this to help you. If people attack me, they won't attack you and won't find out what your spirit is. Just lend me that page," said Yendi arrogantly. Lin Feng nodded. He didn't have much else to say. The golden page, which had turned into a demonic area, moved towards Xiongqi's hands. Then Lin Feng recalled his celestial book spirit. Yendi jumped back to the ground and marks appeared everywhere around him. Gigantic flames appeared from those marks and in a flash, many horrible shrieks sounded around them. "I'm off. Don't release your spirit carelessly," said Yendi, rising up in the air. Qi continued rolling in waves, so nobody realized that Lin Feng was even there. Very quickly, the crowd saw a silhouette, a Taoist monk, who had a demonic field in his hands. "It's him. That's that bastard, the monk," thought the members from the Qi clan. "Kill him," shouted the people from the bestial imperial palace. Mo Peng released dazzling lights. He wanted to kill Yendi as well. That bastard had cheated Emperor Peng, who had then turned into a demon because the Netherworld Demon Emperor. Then, he had been attacked by that nameless cultivator and finally, back in the Ba Huang province, all the beast leaders had attacked Emperor Peng. "You actually came back," the crowd said. Too many people had a reason to hate him. "You're a bunch of useless trash. I'm here already, so come and die," said a loud voice. Qiongqi's body slightly turned into an illusion, however, the terrifying demon fire was real. "Kill him," shouted a voice furiously. Golden lights dashed to the skies and illuminated everything around them. A strong cultivator from the bestial imperial palace had attacked Yendi. He didn't have the body of a great oriental greenfinch rock, but the blood of a supernatural bird was flowing in his veins. His body was golden and he was extremely fast. He had turned into a great rock and his claws looked like sharp swords. "Do you want to die?" said Yendi ferociously. He had used the body capture technique on Qiongqi's body, so he still looked like a wild beast. "Die!" shouted Yendi. He jumped ahead as well. Marks appeared and the sky shook. At the same time, Yendi shook his hand and the terrifying demonic area moved towards the great rock. "Caw!" The rock cawed furiously. His golden claws seemed like they could cut through anything. However, the distorted space surrounded his body. The crowd saw the golden lights disappear and the great rock burn alive in that demon area. Slash. The strong cultivators from the bestial imperial palace were furious as they released their chi to rising to the skies. An infinite amount of dazzling golden energies emerged from their bodies. The Taoist monk, however, had the demeanor of a transcendent being. I'll tell you something, that's the 9 netherworlds demon lotus used by the netherworld demon emperor. I sacrificed 8 emperors to obtain that fire, and now I have it. If you want it, come and try, I'll kill you, said Yen Di aggressively. Lin Feng looked at him, dumbstruck. Qiong Qi wasn't scared. But soon he'd turn back into Qiong Qi, so he should be safe. Everybody, we need to kill that Taoist monk. Let's prove to our emperors that we are strong, and on top of that, let's steal that priceless 9 netherworlds demon lotus is priceless. Let's all take out our imperial weapons, said a cultivator at the top of the Zun Qi layer from the Qi clan. After all the emperors had gone back to the Ba Huang province, the Qi clan had sent even stronger cultivators to Shuiyu. Empress Shi and the netherworld demon emperor's small worlds had appeared. They couldn't give up any treasures inside. What? You want to benefit from other people's disputes? Said a cultivator at the top of the Zun Qi layer from the Wen clan. The Qi clan and the Wen clan were still enemies, like fire and water, a bit like Tianlong Divine Castle and Tiantai. Their emperors had even fought, so now they had nothing to be afraid of anymore. Our imperial weapon has been destroyed and everybody knows that, so what are you asking? Said the cultivator from the Qi clan. Since you don't have any imperial weapons, you can piss off. You have nothing to do here, said the cultivator from the Wen clan. He was convinced that the Qi clan had brought other imperial weapons. After all, their clan had existed for so long. Right? If you don't have any more imperial weapons, just fuck off, said a cultivator from the bestial imperial palace. When we steal the 9 netherworlds demon lotus, we'll start fighting. How could you stand a chance without imperial weapons? Said the cultivator from the bestial imperial palace. Then he spat out a feather which was extremely sharp. The bestial imperial palace had taken out their imperial weapon, and they wanted to kill Yen Di with it. Right, people who don't have imperial weapons can piss off. Otherwise, we'll just kill them, said a cultivator from the island of the Thunderbirds, while releasing blasting thunderous energies. All those influential imperial groups agreed on one thing: those who didn't have imperial weapons could piss off. They had nothing to do there since they weren't qualified to steal the 9 netherworlds demon lotus. Chapter 1294, Killing cultivators of the top of the Zun Qi layer and stealing their imperial weapons. Bastard, thought Lin Feng, looking at Yen Di. When he first met Yen Di, he could bully him as he wished, but since he had obtained the fire in Ahsoka, he had started changing and becoming even stronger. Now that Yen Di had broken through to the Zun Qi layer, he was becoming even more terrifying. He didn't even need as much energy as before to cast deployment spells. After all, he used to be a great emperor, so even the emperors from Ba Huang were not stronger than him. I wouldn't be able to participate in such a terrifying battle. Those cultivators are at the top of the Zun Qi layer and would kill me instantly, thought Lin Feng. He could kill ordinary cultivators of the 4th Zun Qi layer easily. He could also kill cultivators of the 5th Zun Qi layer, but it was more difficult. When his abstruse energies reached level 5, maybe then it'd be easier. Let's see how he uses the 9 netherworlds demon lotus to fight those cultivators at the top of the Zun Qi layer, thought Lin Feng. He didn't even need to watch the battle to know what was going on. After all, Yen Di was using a page of his spirit and it was connected to his soul. It was as if Lin Feng's spirit was a vehicle and Yen Di was the driver. The cultivators at the top of the Zun Qi layer from the Qi clan were upset and glanced at the crowd. Then they took out a picture scroll which contained a terrifying strength. The sky-absorbing picture scroll. The crowd was surprised to see it again. Wasn't it broken by Emperor Wu Tianjian's sword? How come it's here again? The Qi clan is sly and evil. You had another sky-absorbing picture scroll from the beginning. You even said that it was unfortunately broken a few minutes ago, but you wanted us to fight for you and then you wanted to take advantage of the situation and steal it from us, said the cultivators at the top of the Zun Qi layer from the Wen clan. The crowd was astonished. Even if the Qi clan had stolen the 9 Netherworld's Demon Lotus using the sky-absorbing picture scroll, they knew that the others would have easily defeated them. Therefore, they had decided to wait. There has always been 2 of them anyways, only one was destroyed, said the cultivator at the top of the Zun Qi layer from the Qi clan. He rose up in the air and threw himself at Yendi. The Zun cultivators from the Wen clan groaned coldly and rose up in the air as well. They were determined to prevent the Qi clan from obtaining the 9 Netherworld's Demon Lotus. Busy. People rose up in the sky one after the other. They all took out their imperial weapons and everything looked chaotic. 9 Netherworld's Demon Lotus, shouted the cultivator at the top of the Zun Qi layer from the Qi clan while jumping forwards. He disappeared and reappeared 100 meters away from Yendi. Capture! The sky-absorbing picture scroll became gigantic and began absorbing Yendi's demon area. Go! Said Yendi smiling. The demon area moved towards the sky-absorbing picture scroll. Rumbling and explosions sounded. Lin Feng even closed his eyes. Boom boom. The 9 Netherworld's Demon Lotus and the demonic area were immediately absorbed by the sky-absorbing picture scroll. Explode! Said Yendi laughing mockingly. Immediately after, more explosions sounded and golden flames moved in all directions. The sky-absorbing picture scroll immediately exploded and turned into a rain of junk and black embers. How terrifying, thought the crowd. That 9 Netherworld's Demon Lotus was terrifying. Even imperial weapons couldn't block it. Many heads turned towards Yendi. They first had to kill the Taoist monk to get it. No! Shouted the cultivator at the top of the Zun Qi layer from the Qi clan. Another one. Both sky-absorbing picture scrolls, both imperial weapons, had been destroyed. Busy, black demonic fire then moved towards him. The cultivator at the top of the Zun Qi layer had no time to react before he immediately disappeared. And then, the demonic area suddenly moved down towards the members of the Qi clan. Bastard! Shouted Yendi furiously. Lin Feng had blocked him at a crucial moment. Yendi moved like the wind and cast marks in air before disappearing. A terrifying strength appeared where Yendi was a moment before, destructive empty space energies. Yendi rolled his eyes. Lin Feng had prevented him from doing what he wanted. He had made the demon area deviate its path to kill those other people. Run away quickly, shouted the cultivators. No, they had no time. The demon area was too fast as it fell down from the sky and exploded again, leaving a large crater. The cultivator at the top of the Zun Qi layer from the Qi clan looked extremely pale. How many members of the Qi clan had just been killed? And they had lost the second sky-absorbing picture scroll. After that, the demon area rose up in the air again and moved towards Yendi. Die! Shouted a rock. His speed was incredible and the feather he had in his beak was the sharpest weapon Emperor Peng had. It could lacerate several cultivators at the top of the Zun Qi layer at the same time. The feather streaked across the sky and moved towards Yendi. It's his turn, thought Yendi, his eyes were twinkling. He jumped again and the space around him became distorted. Marks appeared again and the feather passed above his head. Come here. Yendi caught the demonic area again. Kill him, shouted Yendi at the rock. The others didn't understand what he was saying, but Lin Feng understood that Yendi was telling the 9 Netherworld's Demon Lotus to kill the golden rock. Ka! The bird cawed. He wanted to escape, but Qiongqi wouldn't give him the chance. You think you can escape from an emperor? Said Yendi, his eyes were dazzling. Boil! Shouted Yendi furiously. The great rock was petrified as he threw himself at the flames. It seemed like he had entered the flames, but actually he had penetrated into a deployment spell. The Taoist monk was a master at using holy marks. It was extremely rare to control them that well. Destroy! Shouted Yendi. Lin Feng controlled the demonic area and made it envelop the great rock. A horrible shriek sounded. At the same time, Yendi ran towards him. He grabbed the golden feather, for that weapon wasn't bad. It was the great oriental greenfinch rock's sharpest feather and it belonged to Emperor Peng himself. The other cultivators at the top of the Zun Qi layer were frozen with fear. Just who was that Taoist monk? He understood and controlled holy marks so well, and it seemed impossible to fight someone who had the 9 netherworld's demon lotus. Die! Shouted the cultivator at the top of the Zun Chi layer from the island of the Thunderbirds. Lin Feng's soul shook violently and his face turned deathly pale. He even spat out some blood. That page could contain the demon lotus, but it couldn't be used to block powerful attacks. Enough! We've played long enough! Shouted Yen Di furiously. He recalled the demonic area back to his hand. Everybody wait for me, we'll see each other again, said Yen Di smiling arrogantly. Then he ran away. Surprisingly, nobody chased him. In such a short time, the Qi clan's sky-absorbing picture scroll had been broken, some strong cultivators from the Qi clan had been killed, Emperor Peng's feather had been stolen, and the cultivator at the top of the Zun Chi layer from the bestial imperial palace was killed. We'll see each other again? The crowd hoped they'd never see him again actually. Chapter 1295. Amazing dazzling treasures. Yen Di had already disappeared, but there were still many strong cultivators standing in the sky. They looked crushed. They had noticed that the Taoist monk had the strength of the 5th Zun Chi layer, but each of his attacks were terrifying. Even though he had heavily relied on the 9 netherworld's demon lotus, his fighting abilities were still amazing. If he reached the top of the Zun Chi layer, he'd become even more terrifying and would pose a threat to everyone, even emperors. Arg! A cultivator at the top of the Zun Chi layer from the Qi clan shouted with fury. His voice resonated all around the small world. He sounded like an animal. Last time, Qi Yun had brought many strong cultivators to Shuiyu and, apart from Qi Tiansu, all the others had died tragically. Now, it was the second time that all the strong cultivators of the Qi clan had died and their second sky-absorbing picture scroll had been crushed. How would they explain that to Emperor Qi when going back? While everybody was fighting, Lin Feng had left. He was moving in the direction of the Black Wind Mountain where Yen Di would meet with him. He had left with a page of Lin Feng's spirit and Yen Di probably wanted to modify the fire still. Lin Feng was even more furious because last time, Qiong Qi had taken the void fire and he never got to see him use it. But the 9 netherworld's demon lotus was extremely powerful and with Yen Di's current strength, he couldn't possibly use all of it to improve his strength. Even if he didn't use all of it, once he came back, he'd have to follow through with his promise and make everyone leave the small worlds. The cultivators at the top of the Zun Chi layer from the influential imperial groups of Ba Huang all had imperial weapons. If they didn't leave Shuiyu, Lin Feng wouldn't feel safe. He didn't care about ordinary Zun cultivators though, they would contribute to making Shuiyu a more powerful country. Yen Di had left with one page of Lin Feng's spirit and found a place where he could cast a protection spell and started modifying the 9 netherworld's demon lotus. He didn't waste time. Lin Feng arrived in a dark and lofty palace. Even though it was dark outside, people didn't stop hunting for treasures. Both Empress Shi and the netherworld demon emperor's small worlds were gigantic. There were palaces, deployment spells, and all sorts of treasures. Everybody had obtained treasures. They just didn't show them. At that moment, Lin Feng heard a clear, melodious, pure, deep, far-reaching Brahma voice. That voice was resonating in the air. Not just him, many people heard it clearly. Lin Feng gazed into the distance and saw some dazzling golden lights. The light of Buddha, thought Lin Feng, recognizing the lights. A gigantic golden body rose up in the air. It was a bodhisattva with his palms together. It seemed like he was getting close to enlightenment at that moment. In the gigantic hand of that golden Buddha, there was a group of Buddhist monks who were chanting mantras. Their voices were clear, melodious, pure, deep, far-reaching Brahma voices which were chanting louder and louder. Strong cultivators from the celestial thunder temple, what are they doing? Thought the crowd. Their voices turned into sound waves and resonated in people's brains. Weak people could easily lose control and lose their mind. If that happened, then only those chants would resonate in their brains forever on and they wouldn't come back to their senses. Lin Feng looked at his own body. His armor, a holy weapon, had started shining when the sound waves reached him. Other people's treasures are reacting in the same way. It's not only mine, thought Lin Feng. What kind of mantra was that? Lin Feng stretched out his hand and took out his medium-level holy weapon, the halberd, and his high-level holy weapon, the sunset bow. The mantra continued flowing and his holy weapons started shining too. The bow was even shinier than the halberd. That mantra could make treasures shine, which meant that the treasures in the small world would shine too. As expected, Lin Feng wasn't the only one who figured that out, everyone around him did as well. However, after people put their precious items away, the lights didn't fade, they became even more dazzling. The mantra was so powerful that it illuminated both small worlds. At that moment, many people rose up in the air, including Lin Feng. They glanced around and inspected the surroundings. How terrifying! Lin Feng took a deep breath. So many holy weapons were shining in those small worlds which hadn't been taken away yet. Many people had found precious treasures, ordinary stones, special kinds of water, big carved words, but hunting treasures wasn't easy, especially if they were buried. Now, with those lights it would be a lot easier. There are so many hidden treasures. Everybody was getting excited. Several people had even started fighting. They didn't go and hunt for those treasures, they just continued chanting. Many cultivators at the top of the Zunqi layer didn't move, just like Lin Feng. They weren't interested in ordinary holy weapons, what they wanted were high-level holy weapons and imperial weapons, so they were waiting to see which weapons would shine the most. There, thought Lin Feng gazing into the distance. There was a thin golden book, although it was small, it was shined even more so than high-level holy weapons, and it was becoming more dazzling as the mantras continued. An imperial weapon, thought Lin Feng. Finally, the most precious items were appearing. There are some more over there, thought Lin Feng glancing around. At that moment, Lin Feng gazed into the distance and saw an even more dazzling light. It alone could illuminate the entire sky. It had to be an incredible treasure. Chapter 1296, One-Paged Sacred Book, what an incredible and powerful mantra, thought Lin Feng, looking back at the monks. Many strong cultivators' silhouettes flickered as they moved in all directions. Boom boom. Terrifying explosions sounded in people's heads. Many people's faces turned deathly pale, weaker cultivators even coughed up blood. The gigantic Buddha statue shook as it reached this degree of strength. That bastard screwed up, thought Lin Feng, groaning with pain too. He even coughed up blood. At such a crucial moment, he had left. With his strength, if he didn't use Emperor Wu Tianjian's sword, he wouldn't be able to get anything, and the mantra was affecting him too. The strong cultivators from the Celestial Thunder Temple use similar techniques to the cultivators from Jiangya. They also have group attacks, thought Lin Feng. The golden Buddha was dazzling as he shouted loudly and propelled many people away. Then he slapped a crowd and more people flew away. The weaker cultivators even died. Gotcha! Lin Feng broke his talisman and hid in the dark. When he rose back up in the air, he was wearing white clothes and looked confident and at ease with his normal face and chi. Sword Chi whistled, and in a flash, a gigantic sword appeared in front of Lin Feng. Lin Feng pointed at the second light he had noticed and said to the strong cultivators from Jiangya, "Go and take that one." "Roger, young master," said the strong cultivators in unison. They turned into a sword again and moved in the direction of the second light. Lin Feng's eyes were twinkling. All the strong cultivators were fighting for treasures, and the most dazzling imperial weapons were the most sought after. With their strength, getting that item couldn't be too difficult. Lin Feng started running towards the most dazzling light. There was already a huge battle there, and the gigantic Buddha was slapping people about. At that moment, the gigantic Buddha stretched out his hand towards the most dazzling light. That hand alone could accommodate a dozen people. There were no lights shining around in the small worlds anymore. The lights around the Buddha were the only ones. The Buddha smashed the ground with his gigantic hand and the ground exploded. A crater was created left in the aftermath. Lightning suddenly struck the Buddha's hand and made it stop for a few seconds. Then, the hand continued moving forwards. "Man Niao!" shouted a Zun-level beast from the island of the Thunderbirds. In the distance, terrifying oxen appeared and trotted in their direction. A cultivator at the top of the Zunqi layer from the Wen clan took a precious umbrella and opened it, expelling empty space energies into the sky. the strong cultivator from the Wen clan disappeared and reappeared in front of that dazzling light. Then he threw his umbrella at the light to take the treasure item. "Piss off!" shouted a cultivator in the sky from the Qi clan. He punched the air, making it shake and preventing the umbrella from moving forwards. "Die!" shouted the Zun cultivator of the Wen clan. His umbrella moved towards the cultivator at the top of the Zun Qi layer from the Qi clan. The umbrella contained deadly abstruse energies which turned into sharp lights. "That's mine!" shouted the cultivator at the top of the Zun Qi layer from the Qi clan furiously. It was as if nothing else existed around him, all he could see was that treasure item. Slow! A pair of eyes appeared in the air. The cultivator at the top of the Zun Qi layer from the Qi clan suddenly slowed down, now looking scared. "Si Kong too!" shouted the cultivator at the top of the Zun Qi layer from the Qi clan. Then the umbrella of the cultivator at the top of the Zun Qi layer from the Wen clan pierced through his body. He looked hopeless as he died. "Come here!" Si Kong too shook his hand. The space became distorted as he used his celestial vision and stared at the treasure item. "Bzz!" A silhouette arrived and the treasures suddenly disappeared. The crowd was astonished. Who had taken it? There. People saw a dazzling light in the distance. Someone from the Abyss of Sufferings. That had to be a member of the Abyss of Sufferings. They commonly had shadow spirits, so when it came to stealing things in the night, they were professionals. Om. The clear, melodious, pure, deep, far-reaching Brahma voices continued chanting. The Buddha lights illuminated the small world again, and not far from them, a dark silhouette appeared under the crowd in the sky. He hadn't escaped, otherwise he would have drawn everyone's attention, but he hadn't thought the Buddha lights were so effective. That person quickly recognized the danger he was in, so their silhouette turned into a black beam of light as they tried to run away. However, everything changed as mist appeared around them. It looked like they were caught in an illusion, and they couldn't leave. An illusion, which meant strong cultivators from the magic world, Heavenly Palace, were attacking. Die! The gigantic Buddha hand attacked, and nobody stopped it. The gigantic hand was moving towards the strong cultivators from the Abyss of Sufferings. "Take it," he said, throwing several rings in the air. However, nobody paid attention to him and the gigantic hand assaulted his body. "Kacha!" He was crushed to pieces and a black ring appeared. That was his real ring. Everybody was paying attention to what was happening. However, inside the mist, women burst into laughter. The crowd quickly realized that there were suddenly women trying to seduce them. Lin Feng was outside of the illusion, calmly standing there, watching people fight for treasures. Many people understood that the first ones to get the treasures were also the most exposed ones, but then they also didn't want to let anyone else take treasures first, because if they waited and then people escaped with the treasures, then they would have no opportunity. Therefore, many people had decided to act immediately. Lin Feng was too weak anyways. He couldn't take any risks by attacking immediately. Even if he unsheathed Emperor Wu Tianjian's sword against so many strong cultivators, he had absolutely no chance to steal their treasures. When cultivators at the top of the Zun Qi layer shouted, they could kill him with their voice alone. "Almost done there," thought Lin Feng, gazing into the distance. On the other side, the strong cultivators from Jiang'e had used their group attack and would soon take the treasure item over there. "I want that one too though," thought Lin Feng. His eyes were twinkling with sharp lights. He released a thread of consciousness and inspected the ground. At the same time, some dead cultivators headed over to him. He could clearly see that the treasure item was a one-page scripture. Maybe it was an imperial scripture, maybe even the 3 live scriptures. If it's the 3 live scriptures and if those people get it, they won't go back to Ba Huang, whispered Lin Feng. If someone obtained an imperial scripture, they wouldn't share it with anyone else. Chapter 1297. Stealing Scriptures. Lin Feng was staring at that illusion when golden lights shined again. Terrifying explosions sounded as the illusion broke. The strong cultivators who were fighting for the one-paged book appeared in Lin Feng's field of vision again. In such a short time, so many cultivators at the top of the Zun Qi layer died, thought Lin Feng, glancing at the crowd. He had seen some cultivators at the top of the Zunchi layer of the Qi clan get killed, and now even more cultivators at the top of the Zunchi layer from other groups had been killed. The strongest group was the group of people from the Celestial Thunder Temple. Their group attack was too powerful. Nobody could compete with them so far. In the distance, there were strong cultivators from the Bestial Imperial Palace who looked furious. If the Taoist monk hadn't stolen their feather, with their strength, they would have been able to steal some treasures at least. Bzz. A dazzling light moved towards Lin Feng. He frowned and saw a dazzling, golden silhouette standing in the air above him. It was Mo Peng, the great oriental greenfinch rock. He had noticed that Lin Feng was hiding in the darkness. Lin Feng raised his head and looked at him indifferently. "What's up?" "The diviner said that the Taoist monk was your protector. Just who is he?" asked Mo Peng. Lin Feng frowned and he said, "Piss off." Mo Peng looked furious as he released cold and dazzling energies. Mo Peng. Some strong cultivators from Bestial Imperial Palace arrived next to Mo Peng and shook their heads. "How audacious," said Mo Peng. He opened his wings and flapped them. His dazzling, golden lights quickly streaked across the sky. Mo Peng had turned around and left. Lin Feng looked at him calmly, before saying, "If there's a next time, I'll have some roasted great oriental greenfinch rock for dinner." Mo Peng stopped in the air and glared at Lin Feng. He wanted to go back and fight Lin Feng already. "Don't attack, Mo Peng. You'll have other opportunities later," said a strong cultivator from the Bestial Imperial Palace. He sounded scared of Lin Feng. Many people thought Lin Feng was insane. He had even killed Qi Tiansheng, so it made sense that he would also kill Mo Peng if he got upset. "Indeed, Mo Peng, when you're stronger, Emperor Peng will give you imperial weapons and you'll be able to fight him and Emperor Wu Tianjian's sword," said another strong cultivator. Mo Peng wouldn't definitely kill Lin Feng someday. Lin Feng turned around and didn't look at him again. For Lin Feng, Mo Peng was just a bird who thought he was a dragon. Boom! At that moment, a green light appeared and shined on the black ring. Then the ring surprisingly exploded. The treasures it contained flew in all directions. However, everybody could only see one thing, the one-paged golden booklet. Instantly, all the strong cultivators threw themselves at the booklet. "It's falling down," thought the crowd. The strong cultivators from the Bestial Imperial Palace could move even faster than the others. They were peeking down like an eagle towards a mouse. "Don't take it. If you do, everyone will attack you and kill you," said someone. Without imperial weapons, it was impossible to get it. "Now," thought Lin Feng. He jumped forwards and immediately, a sword streaked across the sky. "Emperor Wu Tianjian's sword, Lin Feng," the crowd gasped. Lin Feng had taken out Emperor Wu Tianjian's sword at this final moment to steal the book. "That bastard!" A cultivator of the Tianqi layer dared confront cultivators at the top of the Zunqi layer. "You're not afraid of dying, it seems," said a strong cultivator from Tianlong Divine Castle. Lin Feng was quite conceited. What made him think he had any chances to get that treasure? Emperor Wu Tianjian's sword was a terrifying imperial weapon. Everybody was scared of it. "Stop," thought Lin Feng. Emperor Wu Tianjian's sword suddenly rotated and created a vortex. All the strong cultivators behind him were suddenly bathing in sword lights. The sky and the sword were one. "Da-da!" shouted some strong cultivators. Everyone started attacking the hurricane. A hole appeared in the hurricane and some of the strong cultivators flew through it. Emperor Wu Tianjian's sword moved back to Lin Feng's hands. The one-paged scripture was still falling down from the sky. Boom! On the ground, many people ran to catch it. A strong cultivator had jumped and caught it. "You will die," said Lin Feng. That was someone from the Bestial Imperial Palace. They wanted to escape from the sword lights, but they were too fast. Boom, boom, boom. A terrifying chi dashed to the skies. Lin Feng's silhouette flickered as he didn't dare stay there any longer. It was getting too dangerous. The book continued falling down from the sky and someone else stretched out their hand to catch the book. Gotcha! A lightning struck that cultivator and he exploded. The one-paged book continued falling down. However, a pitch-black demon suddenly appeared. Black robe, long hair, demonic intent. He stretched out his hand and the book fell on it. The Netherworld Demon Emperor. The people in the sky, suddenly stopping. The Demon Emperor had appeared again, but why? He was wearing the same black robe, he had the same black hair, his demonic intent was rising to the skies. He looked absolutely terrifying. Is that a thread of consciousness left by the Demon Emperor? Thought the crowd. Piss off, shouted someone indifferently. Bzz. At that moment, someone threw themselves at the Netherworld Demon Emperor. However, the Netherworld Demon Emperor looked at that person and they were suddenly petrified. The cultivator's body was suddenly surrounded by black energies and he was turning into a demonic slave. That person gave a horrible shriek and ran around like a madman. The crowd gulped down, their faces turned deathly pale. Was that really the Netherworld Demon Emperor? I don't believe you, die, shouted someone else furiously. Many others threw themselves at the Netherworld Demon Emperor. The Netherworld Demon Emperor raised his head and glanced at them. Instantly, demonic chi began corroding their souls. Commit suicide, said a deep, demonic voice. Many people started convulsing violently. Those whose bodies were corroded by the demonic chi were killing themselves and slowly collapsing. Commit suicide. The Netherworld Demon Emperor was still standing there. You all want to die, said an ice-cold voice. Escape, shouted people furiously. The crowd was terrified as they ran away in all directions. Once they left, the Netherworld Demon Emperor disappeared back into the darkness. The crowd hadn't noticed that there was someone who was hiding in the darkness and who was laughing now. It was Lin Feng. And those people who had just killed themselves were the dead bodies he was controlling. Now, the Netherworld Demon Emperor had the one-page scripture, so it had nothing to do with Lin Feng, right? Chapter 1298. Lin Feng's aggressiveness. The cultivators at the top of the Zun Qi layer from the Wen clan, who were still in the sky, stopped and frowned. There's something wrong, whispered a cultivator from the Wen clan. The first time he had seen the Netherworld Demon Emperor, even emperors couldn't look at him. That's why everybody was terrified. Therefore, when everyone saw the Netherworld Demon Emperor a moment before, everyone was automatically terrified, especially when he talked. Then, he had looked at some strong cultivators and made them kill themselves, causing people to be even more scared. However, why had the Netherworld Demon Emperor left a thread of consciousness there? Besides, until that time in the small world, everybody could take everything they wanted. So why would he take that one-paged golden book? Why would a thread of consciousness which had existed for thousands of years want a one-paged golden book? The cultivators from the Wen clan weren't the only ones to think that way. They all stopped and looked pensive. In the distance, a cultivator at the top of the Zun Qi layer listened the cultivators from the Wen clan talk. Then a cultivator from the Wen clan then said, "Did you find that strange as well?" "What do you think?" asked that person. Then they glanced at each other and then gazed into the distance. After a few minutes, they flew back to that place. There were already other people there, and they all quickly realized that the Netherworld Demon Emperor had disappeared. "It seems like someone cheated us," said someone. "It must be Lin Feng. He probably already took the one-paged golden scripture and maybe he made the Netherworld Demon Emperor appear," said someone from Tianlong Divine Castle. Slash, slash. A dazzling sword appeared in the sky. The face of the one who was talking turned deathly pale. It was Emperor Wu Tianjian's sword. Boom! The one who had just talked suddenly turned to void, those on his side as well. Then, the sword moved back into a young man's hand. "Watch your words," said Lin Feng indifferently. He rose up in the air, now holding Emperor Wu Tianjian's sword. Lin Feng, a cultivator at the top of the Zun Qi layer from Tianlong Divine Castle. There are so many cultivators at the top of the Zun Qi layer are here, and surprisingly, some people are making up rumors that I, a cultivator of the Tian Qi layer, could do such things. I'm not strong enough to disguise myself as the Netherworld Demon Emperor. If you want to kill me, don't use excuses to justify yourself. Those kinds of people should die," said Lin Feng. "Don't forget that when the Netherworld Demon Emperor broke free from the seal, you went up in the sky and practiced cultivation in the black clouds. It could definitely be you," said that cultivator of the top of the Zunqi layer from Tianlong Divine Castle. He was holding a dragon scepter in his hand. Slash slash slash. Sword Qi whistled and Jiang's strongest cultivators appeared in the sky. Lin Feng pointed at the crowd from Tianlong Divine Castle and said, "Kill all the people from Tianlong Divine Castle." "How dare you?" The cultivator from Tianlong Divine Castle looked furious. Jian Mu's mouth twitched. The young master was insane. Did he want to annihilate Tianlong Divine Castle? "Kill them, and that one is mine," said Lin Feng, jumping towards the cultivator at the top of the Zunqi layer. He was staring at Lin Feng, or more precisely, at Emperor Wu Tianjian's sword which Lin Feng was holding. That sword was an imperial weapon and could kill cultivators at the top of the Zunqi layer. "Roger, young master," replied Jian Mu. How could the crowd compete with the heroes of Jiang'e? The cultivator at the top of the Zunqi layer from Tianlong Divine Castle was glaring at Lin Feng while releasing incredible bestial qi. However, Lin Feng looked at him looking without concern. He hated people from Tianlong Divine Castle, and if they had the opportunity to kill him, they would. They had even helped Qi Yun the other day. So now, Lin Feng had the opportunity to kill them, so why would he treat them any differently? How cruel, thought the other cultivators. It was better not to offend Lin Feng. He had killed a cultivator at the top of the Zunqi layer from the Qi clan. He had even killed Qi Tiansheng, who had imperial blood. Emperor Wu Tianjian's sword was a special tool to Lin Feng. If he wasn't cruel, people would think that they could bully him as they wished. By unsheathing Emperor Wu Tianjian's sword, he was telling people that if they offended him, he'd kill them. With Jian Mu, the strong cultivators from Tianlong Divine Castle could only die. After all, Tianlong Divine Castle and Jiang'e were different. Many influential imperial groups had sent some fairly strong people, whereas the strong cultivators from Jiang'e there were people Lin Feng had sent, and he had chosen the strongest cultivators from Jiang'e. Besides, Tianlong Divine Castle kept losing items and people whereas Jiang'e kept winning. Lin Feng was still staring at the cultivators from Tianlong Divine Castle who were now motionless. The cultivator at the top of the Zunqi layer from Tianlong Divine Castle didn't dare move because Emperor Wu Tianjian's sword scared him. Lin Feng didn't move because apart from that cultivator, there were other influential imperial groups not far away. They were countless cultivators at the top of the Zunqi layer with imperial weapons in hand. They had no time to waste there. Even though they were not enemies, they profit from this fight. If Emperor Wu Tianjian's sword wasn't in Lin Feng's hand at any point, the others would take advantage of that and kill him. "Arg!" Someone shouted furiously, "Lin Feng, Tianlong Divine Castle will kill you." Lin Feng frowned and said, "Do I need you to warn me?" He already knew that Tianlong Divine Castle wanted to kill him. The strong cultivators from Tianlong Castle were being slaughtered by Jiang'e. Horrible shrieks were wailing. Quickly enough, all the strong cultivators from Tianlong Divine Castle were dead. "Lin Feng, Jiang'e, you will regret this," said the remaining cultivator who Lin Feng had claimed. His silhouette flickered as flew away. "Since I went this far, I won't regret anything," thought Lin Feng. Since they had put aside all considerations for face, next time, maybe the emperors would show up. "Let's go." Other people's silhouettes flickered. They hadn't managed to obtain the most dazzling one-paged golden scripture, so they had to find others some other treasures. Besides, nobody could be sure that Lin Feng was the one who had stolen the one-paged golden scripture. They weren't even convinced that Lin Feng had done it. After all, how could Lin Feng find someone who looked like the Netherworld Demon Emperor to act on his behalf? Besides, how could Lin Feng look at those powerful cultivators and make them kill themselves? Even if it wasn't the Netherworld Demon Emperor, it had to be a terrifying demon cultivator. They couldn't know that the Netherworld Demon Emperor wasn't fake. It was a thread of intent contained in the Netherworld Demon Emperor's 9 Netherworlds demonic song. Anyways, since they couldn't be sure that Lin Feng had done it, why would they try to fight him? Even the bestial imperial palace knew that the diviner had said that the Taoist monk was Lin Feng's protector, but as long as they didn't see them together, they wouldn't attack him. Everything depended on strength. "Did you get it?" asked Lin Feng to Jian Mu using telepathy, after everyone left. "We did. It looks like some ancient scriptures." replied Jian Mu. Lin Feng had already obtained the one-page scripture, but Jian Mu had also obtained ancient scriptures? Give it to me, said Lin Feng. He still had Emperor Wu Tianjian's sword in his hand, and until Yan Di came back, it was better to keep it out. Back then, when he agreed to only use it 3 times, they hadn't agreed on how long he could use it each time. So, he could keep using it for as long as he wished. Chapter 1299. Yan Di kicking out everybody. Jian Mu gave Lin Feng a ring with the scriptures inside. Do you want it? Asked Lin Feng to Jian Mu. Jian Mu was surprised. There were probably incredible ancient scriptures inside. Of course he had thought about using it. Young master, my strength has reached its limits. I know what I am capable of and I can't progress anymore. Jiang just wants you to become an emperor and make Jiang become top dog again, said Jian Mu, lowering his head. He meant what he said. If he was able to become an emperor, he would have kept Emperor Wu Tianjian's sword and used it already. Now, Jiang could only hope that Lin Feng would become an emperor, because without an emperor, Jiang would soon disappear. Lin Feng nodded and said, when I become an emperor, will reign over central Ba Huang. Thank you, young master, said Jian Mu, bowing. Go and see if you can find any more treasures and give them to the people in Jiang, said Lin Feng. The strong cultivators from Jiang bowed before Lin Feng again and then left. Everybody was already fighting inside the small worlds for treasure. Lin Feng rose up in the air and moved towards a mountain range. He landed on a peak and sat down cross-legged. He had obtained 2 treasures. That was good enough for him already. He wanted to wait for Yan Di to come back to kick everybody out. In the darkness, sounds of battle continued through the night. Lin Feng almost forgot everything around him though. He only sensed the wind brush against his skin and hair. After what seemed like a long time, the sun rose and things settled down. It became extremely calm, eerily so. Many people had died that night and many people had obtained treasures. Those who had obtained the most treasures were from influential imperial groups, especially those who already had imperial weapons. There were a few who had stolen imperial weapons, but they were insane because there were emperor's imprints on those imperial weapons. Even Lin Feng never thought of attacking people with the intention of stealing their imperial weapons. Qiong Qi had stolen an imperial weapon, Emperor Peng's feather. But there couldn't be an imprint on it, and even if there was, Qiong Qi was probably going to modify it using the 9 Netherworld's Demon Lotus. Mo Peng, we didn't get much because those bastards stole the few items we obtained, said someone, somewhere else. The members from the bestial imperial palace were furious. Without cultivators at the top of the Zunqi layer and without their feather, the other influential imperial groups had walked over them. Even if they obtained treasures, so what? When I become an emperor, I'll kill them. I'll kill all my enemies, Lin Feng, the stinky Taoist monk, all of them, said Mo Peng aggressively. He had never been as humiliated as he had been in those small worlds. You don't need to wait that long. During the meeting of the emperors, you'll be able to kill a few people then, said someone next to him. Right, I'll kill a few people at the meeting of the emperors, said Mo Peng. At that moment, a dazzling light appeared and made them frown. The dazzling light crossed across the sky and flew to a mountain, into a young man's hand and then into his body. It was a page of Lin Feng's spirit. Yan Di is back. What was that? Thought some cultivators who momentarily saw the light before it disappeared. That bastard, thought some people who followed the light to Lin Feng. Emperor Wu Tianjian's sword was in front of Lin Feng, so no one wanted to attack him. Dear friends, I trust you have been well, said someone indifferently. Then, the crowd saw a person wearing a robe, standing on a black lotus in the air. That damn Taoist monk actually modified the 9 Netherworld's Demon Lotus. They had seen how powerful the 9 Netherworld's Demon Lotus was. He had destroyed the sky-absorbing picture scroll even. We met for a short time last time. Now that we are meeting again, give me all your imperial weapons. The 9 Netherworld's Demon Lotus moved straight towards a cultivator at the top of the Zunqi layer who was holding a thunder hammer. It was a cultivator from the island of the Thunderbirds. How dare you, shouted that cultivator while raising his hammer. With a flash, lightning shot towards Yan Di. Slash, slash. The demon lotus opened itself and quickly wrapped around Yendi. The lightning crashed onto the demon lotus and burnt away. I gave you a chance, Thunderbird, and you let it slip, said Yendi, smiling in a cold way. Then he threw himself at the cultivator. Beezy. The Thunderbird rose up in the air. However, Yendi groaned coldly. His eyes were pitch black, like there were demon lotuses in his eyes. At the same time, he disappeared from where he was and appeared in front of the Thunderbird. He stared blankly at the cultivator at the top of the Zun-Chi layer from the island of the Thunderbirds. Just by looking at him instantly caused him to feel pain in his eyes, as if they were burning. Slash! The terrifying demon lotus descended from the sky, oppressed the Thunderbird, and enveloped him. Then, black flames fell from the sky and the thunderhammer ended up in the Taoist monk's hand. I don't like it that much, said Yendi, throwing the weapon into the demon lotus. Who else has imperial weapons? Show them to me, said Yendi, slowly turning around. Those people's faces turned deathly pale. Everybody wanted to leave. I see. When he can't remove the Emperor's imprints from the imperial weapons, he just throws them away, thought Lin Feng. Otherwise, he would have never thrown an imperial weapon away like that. I like these two small worlds, and in the future, I'll practice cultivation here. Everybody here only has 1 hour to leave before I kill everyone inside. Shouted Yendi extremely loudly, his voice spreading everywhere in the small worlds. Who's that guy? He's insane if he thinks he can keep those 2 small worlds for himself. Watch your words. That's the guy who fought the cultivators at the top of the Zun-Chi layer with an imperial weapon yesterday. He killed a cultivator at the top of the Zun-Chi layer from the bestial imperial palace and stole their feather. He also destroyed the sky-absorbing picture scroll and stole the 9 Netherworlds demon lotus. Now that he modified the 9 Netherworlds demon lotus and adapted it for his own use, nobody can stop him anymore. Bastard! He stole the 9 Netherworlds demon lotus, and since emperors can't come here, nobody can kill that damn Taoist monk. From now on, Xueyu is his. Thought many cultivators at the top of the Zun-Chi layer. There aren't that many treasures here anymore, so it's not such a big deal. Let's go back to the Ba Huang province. Thought the crowd. People from Jianghe flew over to Lin Feng and Jian Mu, whispering, "Young master, what should we do?" "Go back to Yangzhou City," said Lin Feng, standing up. He rose up in the air and began flying back to Yangzhou City. The small worlds and Yangzhou City now had a common border. They only had to take a step before entering one of the small worlds. Lin Feng was convinced that Yendi could take care of the res. "All right," said the strong cultivators, bowing. Then they rose up in the air and flew towards Yangzhou City. Very quickly, everybody left. "Dad, Mom, one of those worlds is Empress Shi's, which contains a celestial chi. The other one is the Netherworld Demon Emperor's small world, containing potent demonic chi. Which one do you like? We can use one of them as the new location for our imperial palace," said Lin Feng. His family was speechless, using a small world for their imperial palace. Chapter 1300. Dazzling light beam. "Little Feng, are you sure it's okay?" asked Lin Hai. "Could Lin Feng invade the small worlds?" "Dad, don't worry, in a few days Xueyu will be calm again. From now on, Yangzhou City will become the entrance to the imperial palace of Xueyu," said Lin Feng, smiling and nodding. Now that Xiongqi could cast even more powerful deployment spells, Lin Feng would ask him to protect the 2 small worlds, the periphery of the Yunhai mountain range and Yangzhou City. He would also seal the small worlds for the imperial palace to solely practice cultivation. Lin Feng couldn't afford to let anyone he didn't trust know about these plans, especially those who know he's connected to Yendi. "Let's choose Empress Shi's small world," said Lin Hai, smiling. He knew that Lin Feng wasn't joking. "All right, Dad, you'll help me manage the Yunhai sect. I hope that one day it will come back to life, even stronger than before," said Lin Feng. He had to avenge the Yunhai sect. He was infinitely grateful to them and would never forget about that debt. "It's already become the strongest sect in the country. I'll manage it properly," said Lin Hai, smiling. "Thank you, Dad," said Lin Feng, smiling. He didn't have too much time to spend there himself. Later that day, the Taoist monk traveled all around the small worlds, riding his 9 netherworld's demon lotus, and his demonic fire rained down. That Taoist monk was insane, so nobody wanted to offend him. People were even more annoyed because, apart from the 2 small worlds, he had invaded a part of the Yunhai mountain range and a part of Yangzhou City, the imperial city of Shuiyu. Alone, he had invaded 1/5 of Shuiyu. "It seems like we need to leave," said the cultivators from the Wen clan. "Let's go back to Ba Huang," said some people from the bestial imperial palace as well. 3 days passed. Those who remained were standing outside the small worlds, but they couldn't see inside anymore. The spaces were surrounded by a black mist, making it impossible to see anything. At that moment, Lin Feng was standing in Empress Shi's small world where her imperial palace was located. Duan Xinyi was leaning against him. She looked rather pensive. She loved Empress Shi's imperial palace. "It looks like we don't need to change anything. You can live here as it is," said Lin Feng, smiling. He turned his head and stretched his hand and dragged Lu Fei towards him. Lu Fei smiled in a resplendent way and leaned against Lin Feng as well, just like Xinyi. "Lin Feng, are you sure you don't want to take us abroad to travel?" asked Xinyi, smiling. "It's too dangerous. When I have my own small worlds there, I'll take you with me then," said Lin Feng in a gentle way. "All right, then hurry up," said Xinyi, smiling. No matter what, she would agree with anything Lin Feng said. "You should impregnate her, then she can stay at home and take care of the baby," said someone in the background. Qiong Qi appeared above them, embarrassing Lin Feng once again. "I haven't even started condensing my own blood, and I need to become an emperor first," said Lin Feng, raising his head. After breaking through to the Zun cultivator, he'd need to condense his blood and then he could transmit it to his children. Besides, the stronger the parent's blood, the more talented his children would be. An accident could happen though. And in any case, when you're strong enough in the future, you can always replace your children's blood," said Yan Di, smiling. "Besides, with me as a grandfather, your children will definitely be talented." "Have I ever said that I wanted my children to have you as a grandfather?" asked Lin Feng. Yan Di would teach bad things to his children. "Do you think I would be a bad grandfather or what?" said Yan Di angrily. "All right, Yan Di is a great emperor, so it's only natural that he act as a grandfather to our children," said Xinyi, smiling. "Xinyi understands," said Yan Di at Lin Feng. Then he rose back up in the air. Lin Feng was speechless, just smiling. He rose up in the air too and landed on a stone elsewhere. A 1-paged golden scripture appeared in front of him. "There's a seal," whispered Lin Feng. He raised his hand, condensed some sword chi in his fingers and touched the book, but he still couldn't break the seal. "Little boy." Lin Feng shook his hand and Emperor Wu Tianjian's sword came out. "Little boy, can you help me open that seal?" asked Lin Feng to Emperor Wu Tianjian's sword. Emperor Wu Tianjian's sword pointed at the book and attacked it. Golden lights flashed and a crackling sound appeared. The seal was broken. "Bzz." A light beam dashed to the skies. Instantly, the deployment spell activated and black demon fire attacked the beam of light. However, the light broke the deployment spell and pierced through it, leaving a hole in the clouds. Lin Feng wasn't ready for that. He rose up in the air and crossed the deployment spell through the hole. He raised his head and continued watching that relentless light. Slash! A dazzling light came down from the sky. It was so bright that Lin Feng had to close his eyes. When he opened them again, there was a terrifying hurricane. It seemed like clouds were being absorbed through that hole. At the same time, many others raised their heads and saw the hole. There was no sound, and even though it was very far from them, almost everyone could see it. "Did it pierce the sky?" thought Lin Feng as he shuddering at the thought. What exactly was that light? Chapter 1301. The 3 Live Scriptures and the 10,000 Things of Creation Scriptures. "Come back!" shouted an extremely loud voice. It came from the ground, startling Lin Feng. He immediately descended back to the ground again. Yan Di was standing there looking at the sky. "What's going on?" asked Lin Feng. "How come that light had pierced through the sky?" Yan Di narrowed his eyes and said, "Where did that light come from?" "I'm asking you," insisted Lin Feng fixedly, staring back at Yan Di. "I don't need to tell you, you'll find out soon," replied Yen Di before adding, did you get the 3 live scriptures? Lin Feng studied Yen Di's face for any clues, but it was too difficult to get any answers from him. Lin Feng landed on the ground and took out the one-paged golden scripture. Bzz. Yen Di landed next to Lin Feng and looked at the scripture Lin Feng was holding. The seal was broken and there were 3 gigantic words written on the book. 3 live scriptures. 3 live scriptures. Lin Feng became more excited. What was the light a moment ago? You know what it was, right? Asked Lin Feng. Did you sense anything? Asked Yen Di. Lin Feng again stared at him. He opened his mouth and said slowly, my vitality was stimulated. Your vitality? Yen Di had millions of thoughts running in his head. And, said Lin Feng. Yen Di seemed captivated. He was fixedly staring at Lin Feng, motionless. And it also strongly affected my soul, said Lin Feng. Yen Di took a deep breath. His soul was affected. Empress Shi. Yen Di looked at the sky and whispered, Empress Shi, you died for cultivation, but did you really die? What do you mean? Asked Lin Feng. What did that have to do with Empress Shi? Yen Di had told him before that he wanted to go to Empress Shi's grave to find the 3 live scriptures. Don't ask so many questions. You don't need to know that much. I told you, now that I got the 9 netherworlds demon lotus, everything else is yours. You should study the 3 live scriptures very, very seriously. It's perfect for you. When you're done reading it, lend it to me and I'll help you practice it, said Yen Di smiling. Lin Feng, we're going to have a rest, said Xen Yi and Lu Fei smiling at Lin Feng. They realized that he was going to busy now, so they left. Yen Di rose up in the sky, towards the hole in the deployment spell. Lin Feng sat down cross-legged and started reading the 3 live scriptures. He used his godly awareness to inspect it. A strength attracted his godly awareness like a magnet and then scriptures flew into Lin Feng's brain. After a long time, Lin Feng recalled his godly awareness from the book and looked pensive. 3 live scriptures, 3 lives but not 3 bodies, whispered Lin Feng. He now understood what 3 live scriptures meant. Many people had previously made the same mistake. They all thought of the 3 live scriptures as the 3 body scriptures. Nobody understands those scriptures properly, whispered Lin Feng. Did the 3 lives great emperor actually have 3 bodies and 3 lives? Initially, I thought that he had 3 skills, human, demon and Buddha, but I was so far from the truth, thought Lin Feng. He remembered when the 3 lives demon emperor had transmitted knowledge to him. He had always called that knowledge the 3 lives demon scriptures or the strength of the Haruka or whatever else, but he was wrong. Actually, those were only the demonic spells that the 3 lives great emperor had practiced. Only a part of his scriptures. Xing, you Xing, suddenly thought Lin Feng as he raised his head. He looked at the sky, wondering where that light went. Emperor, shouted Lin Feng suddenly. A strong wind blew and a silhouette appeared in front of him. He was giggling and looking at Lin Feng in a mischievous way. Little boy, do you need me to help you practice those spells? Asked Yen Di smiling. 3 live scriptures. Lin Feng took out the one-paged golden scripture and gave it to Yen Di. Yen Di took it and inspected it with his dazzling, fire godly awareness. He soon came back to his senses, much faster than Lin Feng. These 3 live scriptures are amazing, said Yen Di. The 3 lives of all sentient beings, past, present and future, whispered Lin Feng. Yen Di glanced at him and they both smiled. Emperor, do you want to practice it? Asked Lin Feng. Nah, I still want to practice fire cultivation, it's better for me at this point, said Yen Di before giving back the one-paged golden scripture. Then he asked, what about you? Of course I have to practice them, said Lin Feng smiling. Yen Di looked surprised as he said, you want to study the 3 lives scriptures. Even if I don't study the 3 lives techniques and spells, I can study the imperial scriptures it contains because they can be applied to many other things, explained Lin Feng. Yen Di frowned as if he had thought about something. He looked at Lin Feng and smiled. I can't wait for the day when you master the 3 lives scriptures. The 3 lives great emperor made many mistakes while using them, but maybe you'll do better than him. The 3 lives great emperor made mistakes? Lin Feng was confused. How mysterious was that comment? But Lin Feng couldn't ask anything. Yan Di never answered his questions. "First, you need to make your soul even stronger," said Yan Di. Then his silhouette flickered and he left. Lin Feng watched as Yan Di disappeared and smiled indifferently. "I forgot to tell you something, I already practiced the surplus soul technique. Although it was extremely painful, I'm used to it by now." After Yan Di left, Lin Feng didn't study the 3 live scriptures anymore. He shook his hand and took out another book, a 1-paged golden scripture. It looked exactly like the book with the 3 live scriptures. It was even made of the same material. Plus, there was a powerful seal on it as well. "There's a seal here, but it's not as powerful as the other one." Lin Feng struck it with his hand and the seal broke. It was exactly the same type of book as the 3 live scriptures. Those 2 books had been written by the same person. 10,000 Things of Creation Scriptures, read Lin Feng. Lin Feng then began reading the book with his godly awareness. Chapter 1302, Jade Emperor's Treasures. Lin Feng was captivated after he recalled his godly awareness. Those spells must have been Empress Shi's spells, which means that the 1-paged golden scripture must have belonged to Empress Shi. Since the material she used to fabricate the 3 live scriptures is the same as this one, then it means that they also belonged to Empress Shi, thought Lin Feng. Just like Yan Di had said, Empress Shi also used the 3 live scriptures. Now, Yan Di was more interested in the 9 netherworld's demon lotus than in the 3 live scriptures. Maybe Yan Di wants to get his revenge, thought Lin Feng. He had been killed by someone long ago, so he probably hated that person more than anything. The 10,000 Things of Creation scriptures also constituted a path in themselves, but they're not suitable for me. Maybe you Xian will like them, thought Lin Feng, smiling. Then he put the scriptures away. Lin Feng took out a heart which became larger and turned into a palace. It was the Jade Emperor's palace. Lin Feng moved through the dragon's entrance and quickly enough, he sensed that many people were glaring at him. They had been waiting at the entrance for a long time, hoping that they could escape with a moment's notice. "Lin Feng," said several voices unison, sounding like the voices from hell. Everybody stood up and looked at Lin Feng in a bestial way, like animals who wanted to eat him alive. Lin Feng glanced at them calmly. For him, many of those people were actually strangers. Back then, they had chased him after leaving the mysterious world because they wanted to steal his treasures. He had had no choice but to imprison them there. Lin Feng walked forwards. Amongst those people, there were some who had the strength at the top of the Tianqi layer, and because they hadn't been able to practice cultivation properly in the palace, none of them had managed to break through to the Zunqi layer. "Die!" shouted a voice, and then many people threw themselves at Lin Feng, trying to kill him. However, could Tian-level cultivators from Ganyu pose a threat to Lin Feng? Golden claws and fire moved towards Lin Feng and actually hit him. However, the crowd thought that they were attacking a mountain. Nothing happened at all. Kaboom! Terrifying, purple, thunderous energies loomed overhead and lightning struck those who had just attacked Lin Feng. They instantly started burning alive and then turned to ashes. Gulp! Some people gulped down, their faces turned deathly pale. Lin Feng had become so strong? They would never be able to leave that palace. "There's no hope anymore," said someone, breaking the silence. And then another eerie silence took over. Everybody unconsciously moved aside, letting Lin Feng pass. That Lin Feng and the Lin Feng who had imprisoned them before were 2 different people. "Practice cultivation and maybe I'll let you out, but only if you break through to the Zunqi layer," said Lin Feng indifferently. That was easier said than done, but they had no choice. What else could they do? Lin Feng continued walking ahead. A short time after, Lin Feng arrived on the other side, where golden rooms were on his left and right. Their gates were firmly closed. In front of him was the central hall. It was the hall where the Jade Emperor's physical body was left. The Jade Emperor knew that he had offended the Demon Emperor and would die someday, therefore he had sealed all his belongings in the small world, so that no one would find them. But the Demon Emperor had carved things in the Jade Emperor's palace, so the Jade Emperor would never rest in peace. Lin Feng stopped and glanced around. He released some sword qi and a light surrounded him. "Break!" shouted Lin Feng, jumping forwards. Rumbling sounds appeared and a big gate in the palace broke. An ordinary Zun cultivator should be able to break that gate. It seems like the Jade Emperor did that on purpose, in case his descendants wouldn't have been able to open it, thought Lin Feng. After thinking about that, he entered that room. It was a room with many books. He walked to some bookshelves and looked at the books. Those were skills and techniques, spells for all sorts of cultivators. Those spells would be great for any cultivators who had broken through to the Tianqi layer, but not for Zun cultivators. The Jade Emperor left a great heritage for his descendants, thought Lin Feng smiling. He continued walking to the next gate, released Sword Qi and broke it easily. That room was full of weapons, but they weren't powerful at all, just Tian-level weapons. Lin Feng left that room and went to another one. The further he went in, the more difficult it was to break the gates, and the better the things inside were. In the next room, he found intent crystals. In the next one he found abstruse crystals. In the next one were abstruse tablets, which he took. Then holy weapons, then better skills which were suitable for Zun cultivators. Lin Feng was a bit surprised. The Jade Emperor had planned things carefully for his descendants. With all those treasures, Jade Heaven would have had no problems becoming the rulers of Ganyu. Now that I have all those treasures, I don't need to worry about the Yunhai sect anymore. If I manage things properly, the Yunhai sect will easily reign over the Shuiyu region, thought Lin Feng smiling. So far, he had found nothing suitable for his cultivation, but he still had 3 doors to open. Boom! Explosions sounded as Lin Feng opened the first of the last 3 doors. That door required the strength of the 4th Zunqi layer. Lin Feng even found it difficult to open it. Holy marks techniques. Lin Feng entered the palace and looked at the marks on the walls. I can't wait to inspect them. Lin Feng smiled and turned to the last 2 gates. Peerless holy weapons, the Jade Emperor's imperial weapons and imperial scriptures. Those were probably the things that Lin Feng would find in those rooms. But this time Lin Feng couldn't open the gates, even with his strongest attacks. Lin Feng guessed that the Jade Emperor had planned for his descendants to become stronger, step by step, opening each door over time. Should I bring Yan Di and ask him for help? Thought Lin Feng. But he quickly gave up the idea. The Jade Emperor had created that world with gradual progression in mind, so Lin Feng was willing to respect the Jade Emperor's wishes. He would wait, become stronger and come back then to open the last 2 doors. Chapter 1303. Lin Feng, Demon God? 3 days later, Lin Feng was sitting cross-legged in the palace hall with several silhouettes behind him. All those illusions were Lin Feng's. There were 8 lights in total. The present life, the rebirth, the 3 lives of all sentient beings, past, present and future, whispered Lin Feng. Around him, an incredible soul qi appeared. Break, said Lin Feng. The 8 lights behind him gradually broke apart, each light seemingly turning into 2. Busy, then the lights broke apart and disappeared. I can't condense my soul, I still don't know how to control my soul's strength properly, thought Lin Feng, opening his eyes. He looked slightly disappointed. He had been studying the 3 live scriptures for 3 days non-stop. However, he had to rely on a very strong soul to create a soul embryo, and then an embryo of enlightenment, and then a godly embryo. Even Lin Feng, who already knew how to practice the broken soul technique, found it extremely difficult to move on to the next level, let alone geniuses who didn't have the 3 lives emperor's teachings. I never had difficulty learning anything before, so I thought I'd learn it easily, thought Lin Feng smiling. Then he released his celestial book spirit. Come out, said Lin Feng. He immediately invoked the 4th page, which turned into a demonic area in front of him. Since he had peeled off a page the first time, the second time was a lot easier. Lin Feng jumped onto that golden page which had turned into the demonic area. He took out the ancient trees from his ring and they fell down into the demonic area. The Bodhi trees contained an incredible demonic intent and had many Bodhi fruits to pick. Lin Feng took one of the Bodhi fruit and threw it into his mouth, like he would a normal fruit. If another demon cultivator had seen him, he would have fumed with anger at the waste. Those fruits had incredible powers after all. Demon intent flew throughout Lin Feng's body and his body turned black. However, Lin Feng didn't intend to practice demon cultivation. All of a sudden, a gigantic and ancient tree, which was probably thousands of years old, fell down onto another corner of the demonic area. That tree even seemed alive. Lin Feng started hallucinating. It was as if he had appeared somewhere else where a small breeze was brushing against his skin and it smelt like fruits and vitality. However, everything changed abruptly. It became extremely hot and everything started burning painfully. After spring and summer, autumn arrived with a desolate energy sweeping the land. Then, it started snowing and freezing, killing the 10,000 things of creation. 4 seasons, 10,000 things of creation, the ancient tree of the 4 seasons, thought Lin Feng. In a short time, he had seen the 4 seasons, which all referred to the passing of time. It was perfect for the scriptures Empress she studied, the 10,000 things of creation scriptures. My spirit allows me to study all sorts of things because I understand the origin of them. Because of that, I can understand holy marks or even use all sorts of precious treasures, like the Tian Shen stone or the season tree. Lin Feng was contemplating to himself. Lin Feng took out all the items he had found in Empress Shi's coffin chamber, the mountain and river picture scroll, the bronze mirror, the bed, and so on. Lin Feng wanted to see if he could use his spirit to understand the power behind those items. Once Lin Feng took out those items, he realized that the mountain and river's picture scroll and the bed had a connection. The rivers in the picture scroll started flowing, the mountains looked more real, it was as if they wanted to appear in the demon area. Empress She was on her bed and the 10,000 things of creation seemed to come to life around her. Those two things are interconnected and are both useful in improving a cultivator's understanding abilities, thought Lin Feng. Empress She attached a lot of importance to knowledge, so the things in her coffin chamber naturally helped her understand the 10,000 things of creation. Lying on her bed activated the picture scroll, even when sleeping. That way, she could practice cultivation non-stop. Lin Feng looked at the teapot and the pencil. Even though they were extraordinary, they had nothing to do with cultivation, at least nothing happened when he tried to activate them. The bronze mirror emitted dazzling lights which contained an incredible qi. Lin Feng walked towards the bronze mirror and looked at it. Instantly, a reflection appeared, Lin Feng's reflection. He raised his hand and looked at himself. "Is that really me?" whispered Lin Feng. The Lin Feng in the mirror was tall, he looked majestic, strong, he was wearing a long robe. He had a dazzling black sword, a black helmet on his head, his eyes diffused an incredible intent, he looked like a god of demons. Lin Feng slowly walked backwards, the lights faded a bit and he disappeared. Was that me in my previous life or me in the future? Thought Lin Feng, recalling a conversation he had with Yendi. Yendi told him he didn't believe in reincarnation and Lin Feng agreed with him, so could it be that the reflection was his future self? Lin Feng was skeptical, was it a simple reflection? In other words, could it be a reflection of his current state of mind, determined and strong? And what about that black sword from hell? It wasn't subject to reincarnation, it controlled its own life. Back. In a flash, the demonic world turned back into a one-paged golden scripture and returned to his celestial book spirit. The season tree, the Bodhi trees, the mountain and river picture scroll, the bed, the bronze mirror, everything went back inside his spirit. 3 days passed and Lin Feng didn't practice cultivation at all. He gave the treasures he found to his father, he gave cultivation resources to his friends and family members, skills, intent crystals, abstruse tablets, plus the resources in the small worlds. With the pure qi and so on, he was convinced that after a few years, everything would change for them. Everyone would be able to break through to the Tian Qi layer if they didn't get any mental hiccups. On that day, Xueyu was calm, even though people from the other countries in the Xueyu region came to Xueyu. At least all the strong cultivators from the Ba Huang province had left. The strongest cultivators now were low-level Zun cultivators. With the treasures Lin Feng had left in Xueyu and the deployment spells Yendi had cast, there weren't going to be any safety concerns. As long as emperors and cultivators at the top of the Zun Qi layer didn't show up, that is. On that day, Xing Yi and Lu Fei were holding Lin Feng's hands and walking beside him. It was a very romantic scene. Lin Feng, you and Lu Fei still haven't, whispered Xing. Lin Feng smiled wryly and Lu Fei lowered her head. Lin Feng turned his head and looked at Lu Fei. He put his hand on her chin and said jokingly, "Sister, if I disobey, won't you kill me with your bow and arrows?" "Petty," said Lu Fei glancing at Lin Feng and rolling her eyes. He was bringing up the past again. "Otherwise, I can execute you on the spot," said Lin Feng laughing. Lu Fei's face turned red and Lin Feng laughed even more. Actually, the night before, Lin Feng went to Lu Fei's room, but she was already sleeping so he didn't bother her. "What are you talking about?" asked Xiaya. She jumped onto Lin Feng's back. "Brother, I don't want you to leave. When I become the strongest cultivator in all of Ba Huang, I'll take you all with me and we'll go see your grandfather," said Lin Feng. Chapter 1304. Familiar Faces. Old friends. Lin Feng still remembered when Mr. Xiao had transmitted memories to him and disappeared because he didn't want to bring Xiaoya with him to the holy city. Lin Feng was never happy to leave his friends and family behind, but he had to walk on his own path. He was grateful to two people in particular for his newest treasures, Yan Di and the old man from the sword grave in Jiang'a. Without Emperor Wu Tianjian's sword and without Yan Di's help, he would have never obtained so many great things. In the sky above Shuiyu, Lin Feng and Yan Di were riding a huge, whistling sword. Yan Di had turned back into Qiongqi and now, they were leaving Shuiyu. Lin Feng had already made the strong cultivators from Jiang'a go back to the Ba Huang province. And he had made the two cultivators at the top of the Zunqi layer from Jiang'a stay in the two small worlds to practice cultivation. Those two from Jiang'a were terribly excited to learn that Lin Feng, their young master, had already conquered the two small worlds. "Where are we going?" asked Yan Di to Lin Feng. It seemed like they were not on their way to the Ba Huang province. "We're going to Dragon Mountain. I have some things to do there," said Lin Feng. He had already sent people there to investigate Yun Fei Yang's whereabouts since he hadn't heard any news from him. Qing Meng Xen had told him that the Tang clan in Dragon Mountain were quite agitated those days. Maybe it had something to do with Yu, so he needed to go and make sure. "You're in the mood for some enjoyment, little boy," said Yan Di, lying down on the huge sword. He seemed to be getting even fatter. He didn't even have the qi of a ferocious ancient animal anymore. Lin Feng ignored him. Shuiyu wasn't far from Dragon Mountain, so their detour wouldn't take long. "Yan Di, let's go down and have some drinks," said Lin Feng. His sword disappeared and they landed on the ground. There was a palace a little bit aways. It was a bar and restaurant, the Tang's clan restaurant and bar. Lin Feng still remembered the first he met Yu there. Lan Jiao had brought him there, then he had battled a bit and of course, he had drank a lot of fine liquor. Lin Feng didn't know where the Tang clan was, but that place belonged to them and he needed to start somewhere. "Let's go." Lin Feng and Yan Di entered the restaurant. It smelt like fine liquors and possessed a certain older charm. "Even though this place seems a bit old, it seems pretty good," said Yan Di. Everyone in the restaurant turned around and looked at them. A human being and a beast. What a beast, but he didn't look that strong though. Was he a Tian-level beast? And what about that young man in white clothes? He's so young and has already broken through to the Tian-Chi layer? Thought many people, astonished. That guy was probably stronger than the three strongest in their younger generation. "How strong is he compared to Qing Meng Xen?" whispered someone. A few years before, Qing Meng Xen ranked amongst the three best younger cultivators of Dragon Mountain. The first two were Jun Mo Shi and Tang Yu, but those two weren't staying in Dragon Mountain anymore. "He can't be stronger than Qing Meng Xan, at most, he must be as strong as Tang," said someone else. But Lin Feng and Yan Di ignored them and climbed the stairs. Nobody prevented them from going up because even though the guards could see people's cultivation levels, they couldn't see Lin Feng's. Lin Feng climbed up and arrived on the 8th floor, where there were a few tables. Lin Feng slowly walked towards a table with someone he recognized. "Piss off," said a voice. That person didn't seem to like people that much. Someone came when they heard the shout. "Who's that guy?" Surprisingly, he dares offend Lan Jiao, Qing Meng Xian's fellow disciple. "Long time no see, do you not like me anymore?" said Lin Feng laughing. Lan Jiao was suddenly petrified. She slowly stood up and turned around to see a handsome young man in white clothes. He didn't look as impulsive as in the past, rather calm. Her mouth twitched, she even blushed. She wanted to say something, but the words didn't come out. "I don't have any pure chi stones, so would you mind inviting me to have a few drinks?" said Lin Feng, smiling and sitting down. Lan Jiao smiled too and put some pure chi stones in the holes on the table. Instantly, alcohol appeared on the table. Lin Feng raised his glass and tapped against Lan Jiao's glass, saying, "You lost so much weight and you haven't become any stronger. What's wrong with you?" "It's all because of you," said Lan Jiao, laughing. Then she downed her glass like Lin Feng. "How pleasant," said Lin Feng, smiling. He hadn't drank the Tang clan's alcohol in such a long time. "Emperor, come, have a drink," said Lin Feng, giving a bottle to Yen Di. Yen Di raised his head and sucked all the alcohol out of the bottle in one sip. "Dude, piss off," said Lin Feng. He only wanted to share the bottle, not give the entire thing to him. "I always drink like that," said Yen Di. Then he walked to the table and spat out some flames. "Give me more alcohol." Lin Feng was speechless. Yen Di apparently liked to drink. Lan Jiao looked at Yen Di and smiled at Lin Feng. "How have you been all these years?" "Don't I look good?" said Lin Feng, smiling and raising another bottle. Then, they continued drinking. "We should go higher up, it seems we've run out of bottles to drink here." "I don't want to wait for more bottles to arrive," said Lin Feng, shrugging. Lan Jiao was speechless and then she burst into laughter, recalling the good old times. That guy liked to take the initiative. "Let's go," said Lin Feng, standing up. He wanted to go to the top floor. Like last time, an old man was standing there and said, "Excuse me, Your Excellency, you can't go up yet." "Sorry, I'll definitely go up," said Lin Feng, smiling before he continued going up. The guard became upset and released chi at Lin Feng. He could sense that Lin Feng wasn't going to be easy to deal with. "Let them go up," said a voice. The old man was surprised and nodded. "Roger, miss." Then the old man let them pass. Like last time, quite a few people were already up there. "Is something wrong, Your Excellency?" asked someone. Lin Feng looked at the beautiful lady and said, You, when seeing that beautiful yet aggressive girl. He couldn't help but remember Tang Yu. "Your Excellency," said Tang Yi when she saw that Lin Feng was staring at her. "Stop looking at her," said a young man coldly while standing up. Lin Feng ignored him and smiled at Tang Yi. "What's your name?" Chapter 1305. Interconnected plants. Everybody at the table was astonished. Surprisingly, that guy was flirting with Tang Yi. He was fixedly staring at her and even dared ask her for her name. How insolent! She was one of 3 strongest young cultivators of Dragon Mountain, and she had many suitors. "Are you blind? Who are you to ask for Miss Tang's name?" A gigantic hand crashed onto Lin Feng's body and cracking sounds appeared. Lin Feng turned around and looked at the person. Lin Feng's eyes were pitch black and demonic intent emerged from them. How ice cold! That person's eyes were suddenly sore and he looked petrified. "Piss off," said Lin Feng in a gentle voice. Even though he said it gently, the young man felt like he had been hit with a stick on the head. His soul was shaking and he immediately fell down on his bottom, barely able to breathe. Phew! His heart was pounding, he couldn't stand a single glance. "Who are you?" asked that person. He couldn't know who Lin Feng was, but it seemed like Lin Feng wasn't using a skill to hide his cultivation level and they still couldn't see through him. Tang was surprised. The people who came to the 9th level were all strong. That guy was one of the 10 strongest young cultivators of the empire. He was about as strong as her and surprisingly, he couldn't stand a single glance from Lin Feng. "I mean you no harm. If I'm not mistaken, you must be Yu Yu's little sister." Lin Feng didn't take to heart what had just transpired. Yu Yu and Lin Feng had met because of the great competition of Shuiyu, so he didn't know the other people from the Tang clan. They were a large clan in the capital city of Dragon Mountain, but since Tang Yi and Yu Yu looked so similar, he had guessed that she was Yu Yu's little sister. Tang looked surprised and frowned. Lin Feng was right, she was Yu Yu's little sister. Tang Yu Yu was the eldest and she also had a little sister, Yi, and a little brother, Tang Ru. "Do you know my sister?" asked Tang Yi. "I do," said Lin Feng, smiling and nodding. Then he asked, "Has your sister ever come back?" Tang Yi frowned at Lin Feng and asked, "Who are you?" "My name is Lin Feng." Lin Feng. Tang Yi was astonished. Lin Feng. The crowd frowned, they also knew that name. Lin Feng from the great competition of Shuiyu, thought many people. They finally remembered. He had ranked first, so it made sense that he was so strong. "You're really Lin Feng?" asked Tang. Lin Feng laughed and condensed his godly awareness, transmitting some memories to Tang. Tang inspected the memories and didn't look as scared anymore. She just smiled in a resplendent way and said, "I'm taking you to the clan." "All right," said Lin Feng skeptically, but nodded. Then they left the restaurant. Tang remained silent and Lin Feng followed her silently. Since she took him to the clan, it meant that she had a reason to. The Tang clan wasn't far from their restaurant. They soon entered a large courtyard and many people were surprised to see the strangers. "Who's that?" asked a middle-aged man. "Uncle Lin, they're my friends," replied Tang. The middle-aged man didn't say anything, but many people quickly arrived in the courtyard. "Sister, who is he?" asked a young man who was about 18 and looked unhappy. "Tang, go and find our father," said Tang. "If you want to see our father, then you must talk to me first," said Tang Rui looking at Lin Feng. He ran towards Lin Feng as quickly as he could. He had broken through to the 5th Xianqi layer, which in Dragon Mountain wasn't so bad for a young man. "Hand strike," shouted Tang Rui furiously. "You're causing trouble," said Tang Yi, but she didn't do anything to stop him. Lin Feng didn't mind, since that Tang Rui was calling Tang Yi's sister, it meant he was Tang Yu's little brother. "Bzz." The hand reached Lin Feng, but didn't touch him. "If you want to stay with my sister, you must ask my permission," shouted Tang Rui furiously. He turned into 2 shadows and ran towards Lin Feng. "Tang Rui, stop," shouted Tang Yi. However, Lin Feng just slightly moved. "1,000 shadows," shouted Tang Rui furiously. He turned into 1,000 wind clones, which all threw themselves at Lin Feng at the same time. No matter what Tang Rui did though, he couldn't reach Lin Feng. "Tang Rui, that's enough," shouted an aggressive voice. Tang Rui immediately stopped and looked at Lin Feng furiously. "Uncle," said Lin Feng bowing in front of the middle-aged man. "Dad, I still want to try," said Tang Rui when he saw what Lin Feng was doing. He probably wanted to ask for Tang Yi's hand. Tang Rui's father said coldly, "I'm the one who's going to try." Then the man's silhouette flickered as he threw himself at Lin Feng. A myriad of wind clones were now closing in on Lin Feng. Boom, boom, boom. A myriad of fists bombarded Lin Feng's body. However, he still looked calm, as if nothing had happened. "Break!" shouted the man. The ground beneath them even cracked and the courtyard shook, but Lin Feng didn't even frown. Tang Rui was astonished. His father's attacks couldn't affect Lin Feng at all. How scary! When the father saw that his attacks weren't affecting Lin Feng, he sighed and said, "Why are you not attacking?" "I wouldn't want to fight against you, uncle," said Lin Feng smiling wryly. "How could he fight against Yu's father?" Did you feel guilty for Yu?" asked Mr. Tang. Phew! He couldn't help but smile wryly when he heard Mr. Tang. The Tang clan definitely had some news about Yu, so he asked, "How is Yu? What's going on?" Tang Rui suddenly became anxious. He looked at Tang Yi and Tang Yi said, "He's Lin Feng." "Lin Feng," whispered Tang Rui. He still looked furious. "The one who ranked first at the great competition of Shuiyu. The one who defeated Di Ling, Duan Wu Dao and the other strong younger cultivators from years ago." "You're well informed," said Tang. Then her father left and said, "Come with me." Lin Feng followed him with Tang Yi trailing behind. They arrived in a courtyard where a girl seemed to live. "That's where Yu lives." Lin Feng nodded and glanced around. There were trees, a nice smell, overall it was a beautiful place. "Those seeds were planted recently," whispered Lin Feng. Mr. Tang walked towards Lin Feng, looked at the seeds and said, "Indeed, they're interconnected too. Yu planted them a short time ago and said that if you came, I should show them to you." "Yu planted them?" Lin Feng's eyes twinkled. Yu was alive and those plants were interconnected with her, which meant they couldn't be separated. Lin Feng didn't know what it meant. Yu Yu had always stayed with him, even when he turned into a demon she had taken risks to stay with him, but she never told him how she felt. Now, she had left these plants and a message for Lin Feng. Chapter 1306, Ambush. Uncle, where is Yu Yu? Asked Lin Feng worried. Since Yu Yu was fine and alive, why didn't she go look for him? I don't know, Yu Yu gave me that message after she stayed for a few days, then she left. I'm her father and I don't even know when I'll see her again, said Mr. Tang sighing. Something happened, right? Said Lin Feng looking at Yu Yu's dad. Yu Yu was alive, but she hadn't gone to Tiantai to find him. Why don't you ask her yourself? You didn't take care of her even though she went abroad with you. She's in love with you, so why didn't you keep her on your side? Asked Mr. Tang. Lin Feng recalled that day on the Huang Sea, where he had had no choice but to force her onto the pirate's boat. Lin Feng didn't try to explain anything though. He just said, Uncle, I made a mistake, I hope you can tell me the truth about Yu Yu. I told you all I know, I also want to know more, said the father sighing. Lin Feng, Daddy didn't lie, my sister left without saying anything. She said she'd come back though. It seemed like her father really didn't know what was happening. Lin Feng was wondering what happened to her though, what happened after the Huang Sea incident. Lin Feng remained silent for a few seconds, nodded and said, Uncle, if she comes back, tell her to go to Tiantai in the Ba Huang province to find me. Ba Huang province? Tang Rui was incredulous. He walked over to Lin Feng and said, Lin Feng, since you're my sister's husband, can you take me to the Ba Huang province? Lin Feng was surprised. Sister's husband? Tang Rui, said Tangy speechless. You're so impolite, said Tang Rui's father, but Tang Rui smiled and said, Dad, Yu Yu said she liked him, she even planted those seeds for him. He's absolutely Yu Yu's future husband in any case. Tang Rui's father rolled his eyes. Dad, look, he's so young and yet stronger than you. Let me go abroad with him, said Tang Rui, hiding behind Lin Feng. Lin Feng laughed. That little boy was decent at scheming. Come here, shouted the father furiously. Tang Rui didn't want to, he said instead, Yu Yu said it, a man should travel, so why would I stay locked up in Dragon Mountain? Yu Yu also told E to find a husband here in Dragon Mountain. That's because of her personality, a man shouldn't do that. I should go abroad, become stronger, reach the clouds. I should become a hero. A woman is different, I'm not like E, argued Tang Rui angrily. However, Lin Feng smiled wryly. Tang Rui was right and Lin Feng had similar beliefs. He thought he had to go abroad and become stronger, but he didn't want Lu Fei and Xian Yi to come with him because he wasn't strong enough yet. You're too weak. You can't go abroad yet. Anyone could kill you easily. Once you defeat me, then I'll let you go abroad, said the father furiously. Young people were all the same. Even Mr. Tang had traveled abroad, but the world was too big and too dangerous. Brother, said Tang Rui looking at Lin Feng, seemingly asking for support. Lin Feng shrugged and took out a ring he had stolen from a Zun cultivator he killed and gave to Tang Rui, saying, There are many things inside this ring. Practice cultivation, defeat your daddy, and then if you want to go abroad, come to Tiantai in the Ba Huang province to find me. Tang Rui took the ring and nodded. He knew he couldn't go against his father's will anymore. All right. What weapons do you like to use? Asked Lin Feng. Halberds and spears, replied Tang Rui. Lin Feng took out his halberd, causing Tang Rui to drop his jaw. Even Mr. Tang was astonished. That was a legendary holy weapon. I broke the connection I have to it, so you can use it now, said Lin Feng, handing over the halberd he had fixed in Fortune City to Tang Rui. Thank you so much, brother, said Tang Rui, amazed. Lin Feng walked to Tang Yi and smiled. You still haven't told me your name. Tang Yi looked at him and said, Tang, said Lin Feng smiling. He took out another ring he had stolen from a Zun cultivator and gave it to her. Sister, don't you want to become the best cultivator in Dragon Mountain? Take it, said Tang Rui. Tang took the ring and said, Thank you. Take this Taoist robe made of feathers too, said Lin Feng, taking out another holy weapon. Mr. Tang was astonished. He couldn't even see Lin Feng's cultivation level and he couldn't even see how powerful the holy weapons were. Uncle, I won't be not disturbing you any longer, I'm off, said Lin Feng. Wait, shouted Tang Yi. She took out a ring and gave it to Lin Feng. Take it, you will like it. I made a lot of them. All right, said Lin Feng, smiling in a resplendent way. He already knew that it contained a lot of hot unit. Goodbye, said Lin Feng, leaving with Yen Di and Lan Jiao. The Tangs looked at Lin Feng with feelings which were hard to describe. After Lin Feng left the Tangs, he didn't leave Dragon Mountain immediately. He went to the Imperial Palace of Dragon Mountain first. He wanted to sue Jun Imoshi's father since he was in Dragon Mountain. Lin Feng offered some news about Jun Imoshi to Jun Imoshi's father, who was extremely happy to learn that Jun Imoshi had become a young master in the Celestial Palace of the Immortals. He was a bit sad though, because he had hoped Jun Imoshi would take over after him. Lin Feng didn't stay too long. He gave Jun Imoshi's father some gifts and left Dragon Mountain. Then, he flew in the direction of the Ba Huang province. Lin Feng crossed Ganyu. He didn't need to get his revenge so quickly. Even though he had become quite strong already, destroying a few influential groups in Ganyu wouldn't be that easy. He would have to go back to Shuiyu later and then he would take care of his enemies. He had solved the problems in Shuiyu once again, found out that Yu was still alive, so Lin Feng was already a bit relieved. He would see Yu again, definitely. He just didn't have any news from Yun Fei Yang yet. Lin Feng was flying on his gigantic sword, crossing over several countries. Eventually, he arrived in a familiar place again, the northern Ba Huang province. At that moment, Lin Feng was sitting cross-legged on his sword. Yen Di was lying down nonchalantly. At that moment, explosion sounds spread in the air. It was as if the sword had arrived in a restricted area and stopped. Lin Feng jumped forwards. Kaboom! A gigantic hand descended from the sky towards Lin Feng. Someone is attacking me by surprise, thought Lin Feng. He hadn't thought that someone would attack as soon as he came back. Die, said Lin Feng. His sword streaked across the sky, towards the gigantic hand. Slash. The sword chi was destroyed and the gigantic hand continued moving towards him. Boom boom. Demonic clouds invaded the skies and collided with the gigantic hand. Lin Feng shook violently, his blood seemed to be boiling. A wound even appeared on his chest. There were 3 people hiding above the clouds. They looked quite sanguinary. Hand over your rings and weapons and we'll spare your life, you useless dog, said the leader of the group in a cold way. And also, Lin Feng, take off all your clothes, said another one of them. Lin Feng said coldly, how do you know that my name is Lin Feng? Those people had been waiting for him and they were extremely strong. Chapter 1307. Sanguinary Battle. You're the first Tian-level disciple of Tian Tai. Everybody knows you. Now, stop talking shit and hand over your rings, you worthless dog, said that person ferociously. Lin Feng was intrigued. Even though those people seemed strong, they didn't seem very well informed. Was he only the first Tian-level disciple of Tian Tai? Who sent you? Asked Lin Feng. Stop talking shit or we'll kill you. The one who had called him Lin Feng then jumped towards him and a gigantic sanguinary hand descended from the sky. Come out. Lin Feng released his Tianji sword. They obviously didn't just want his rings and clothes, it was only an excuse. Lacerate. Lin Feng used his Desolate Xana attack and cut a large hole in the oncoming attack. You're not weak, little boy, but you dared attack 3 incredible assassins from the northern part of Ba Huang, so you will die, said that person. His blood abstruse energy was terrifying. He had managed to destroy the sword energies, he had broken through to the 5th Zunqi layer, and he understood 5 different types of abstruse energies, just like Lin Feng. Besides, the 2 cultivators next to him didn't seem that much weaker than the leader. Yen Di didn't do anything, instead, he looked excited. In his opinion, Lin Feng was still learning and in order to become stronger, he had to fight people who were stronger than him. Nirvana Suanya Destruction, said Lin Feng, condensing 3 different types of abstruse energies into his sword technique. His attack oppressed the gigantic sanguinary hand which already had a hole in it. At the same time, he tried flying away. You think you can escape? Roaring blood ocean, shouted the person. In a flash, Lin Feng was surrounded by a torrential amount of blood qi. Desolate explosion. Lin Feng's Tianji sword attacked the sanguinary qi, making it falter. At the same time, he released some demonic qi which dashed to the skies. With his demonic energies, Lin Feng didn't have the strength of the 9th Tianqi layer, but the 2nd Zunqi layer. Celestial demonic territory, said Lin Feng. The sky turned black as demonic reigned over the land and skies. You also practice demonic cultivation? Interesting, your demon skills are powerful. I'm going to be rich after defeating you, said the enemies, laughing loudly. Then, a sanguinary hand appeared in front of Lin Feng. To look that bloody and horrifying, the cultivator using it must have killed millions of people. I'll show you what a butcher really is, said the enemy. Lin Feng's blood could barely flow, his pure qi seemed petrified, the enemy's sanguine abstruse energies were starting to influence his blood. Blood explosion, shouted the enemy furiously. Lin Feng felt like a sausage on the fire, his face turned extremely red under the pressure. Cultivators needed to level their abstruse energies to use them at their fullest potential. Get away, shouted Lin Feng. Inside the celestial demonic territory, empty space energies appeared and Lin Feng suddenly disappeared. Come out, shouted the enemy furiously bombarded the space with sanguinary punches. He knew that Lin Feng was using a weapon to hide. Die! Lin Feng shouted furiously as he released more demonic intent which contained sword qi. Lin Feng reappeared with an infinite amount of sword qi penetrating his enemy's body. Arg! That person's face turned deathly pale as blood splashed, but while shouting in pain, he also released a sanguinary hand attack again. Blood curse, shouted Lin Feng as he took out his cursing scepter. He quickly cursed the enemy's blood and the latter gave a horrible shriek. He disappeared again and reappeared 10 meters away. He was using a Peerless holy weapon to do that, the Ksana empty space robe. Cough, however, Lin Feng was injured, he even coughed up blood. But nevertheless, he still looked determined while facing down his enemy. Terrifying cursing strength surrounded the space. Using the Peerless holy weapon, his enemy's blood was actually corroding. Help me, shouted the cultivator furiously. He tried to get out of the demonic area, however, Lin Feng wouldn't let him go. He used his Xiao Yao agility technique and quickly caught up to him. Chaotic godly curse. He shook his scepter and the enemy's heart started corroding. He quickly lost his determination, his thoughts were a mess. The cursing energies were too powerful. Boom boom. Someone was attacking the demonic area from above. They wanted to help their friend, however, Lin Feng wasn't about to give them any chances either. He jumped forwards and attacked with his Tianji sword. His enemy was corroding twice as fast by the cursing energies already, so Lin Feng wasn't too concerned about him. The Tianji sword streaked across the sky and his blood suddenly exploded outward. He was dead. Kaboom! The demonic area was finally destroyed. Lin Feng was visible to his enemies again, however, one of them were already dead. A cultivator of the 5th Zunqi layer had been killed by a cultivator at the 9th Tianqi layer? Is he really only the first cultivator from Tiantai? Wondered the leader, petrified. Those people had been stealing from people their entire life and they had always chosen weaker victims. A short time before, someone had asked them to kill Lin Feng. When they learnt that the victim had only broken through to the Tianqi layer and was extremely rich, they hesitated. Was such a thing possible? But when the one who had assigned them the task had told them that it was Lin Feng, the first Tian-level disciple from Tiantai, they had immediately understood why he'd be so rich. It was absolutely normal to look for mercenaries to kill such people because the politics behind doing it yourself. Unfortunately, those mercenaries didn't know the outside world that well. They didn't know that Lin Feng had already killed Zun cultivators, otherwise, they wouldn't have agreed to do it. How'd he do it? Wondered the two other cultivators. Lin Feng had already hidden his cursing scepter because he couldn't show anyone else that he was also a black mage. There was a mountain range in the distance where two silhouettes were standing. In front of them was a young man whose eyes were dazzling and his robe was fluttering in the wind majestically. It seemed like he could see through empty spaces, empty space eyes. Behind him was an old man. Even though he was calmly standing there, he was an extraordinary cultivator at the top of the Zunqi layer. "Useless piece of trash," said the young man. "Young master, in the northern part of Ba Huang, we don't have that many people. At least, they can't be as strong as some cultivators from influential imperial groups. Luckily, there's a cultivator of the 6th Zunqi layer. If he attacks, then Lin Feng would be forced to use Emperor Wu Tianjian's sword." The old man also had the empty space vision and could easily see what was going on. "My goal is to make him use Emperor Wu Tianjian's sword," said the young man. He looked at the old man and said, "I believe he can't use it as he wishes." The old man contemplated a bit before saying, "You mean that everybody knows that Lin Feng has used Emperor Wu Tianjian's sword 3 times already. Each time he uses it, he's in a critical situation. During other difficult situations, he often asks for the strong cultivators from Jiang'e to help. If he could use Emperor Wu Tianjian's sword as he wished, why would he use it as a last resort all of the time? Even if he didn't want to use it carelessly and wanted to use it only when he faced stronger cultivators, why would he still ask the strong cultivators from Jiang'e for help?" said that young man. Chapter 1308. Condensing abstruse energies. Lin Feng didn't know that those people were using their empty space vision to observe him from afar. Influential imperial groups had various methods to handle things, and empty space vision wasn't something he was watching out for. "You attack him head-on and I'll use my godly awareness to attack his godly awareness," said the leader to the other one. They were mercenaries, so they were vigilant and strong. Lin Feng had already killed their friend, so they couldn't underestimate him. "All right," the other one nodded. His blood started boiling. Very quickly, a hurricane emerged around his body and surrounded him. That's a wind spirit which turned into a blood spirit capable of becoming a hurricane filled with wind abstruse energy. That's the only explanation. Lin Feng figured. Slash. The terrifying hurricane moved towards Lin Feng, tearing apart everything in its path. Lin Feng also released wind abstruse energies and used his agility technique. He released a few sword attacks to distract the wind, but the hurricane was too fast. It weakened the sword energies before finally destroying them. "Die!" shouted the other strong cultivator. He released his godly awareness and attacked Lin Feng's own godly awareness. They're both strong alone, not to mention when they combine their attacks. Lin Feng was being pushed back. He was right. One of them had broken through to the 4th Zunqi layer and controlled 3 different types of strength to attack him. If it wasn't for him using 2 holy weapons, he couldn't have killed the other one before. Godly Awareness Palace. Lin Feng, quickly sealing their godly awareness with his godly awareness palace. The other godly awareness attacked his godly awareness palace, and it seemed like it would break out at any moment. Lin Feng's soul was shaking violently. At the same time, another hurricane was thrown at Lin Feng. He again was pushed backwards, sword chi whistling. "I'm going to die if they continue attacking me like this," thought Lin Feng. He couldn't destroy the hurricane, and he couldn't run away. The hurricane attacks were too powerful, so he had to defend himself constantly. The godly awareness attacks were terrifying too. If he was too careless, he would instantly die from it. "Those bastards," thought Lin Feng. At that moment, he sensed terrifying energies above him. A gigantic hand appeared in the clouds. The oppressive energies it emitted were suffocating Lin Feng. Cloud abstruse energies, intangible and destructive. "Die!" Lin Feng used his sword to cut through the clouds. However, the intangible cloud hand continued descending from the sky, oppressing Lin Feng's body. Explosions sounded and Lin Feng coughed up blood. His face had turned deathly pale. That cultivator had broken through to the 6th Zunqi layer, and his cloud abstruse energy was level 5. If it had been any stronger, Lin Feng would have died. Lin Feng was propelled downward 10 meters, but his blood was boiling furiously. He released vitality abstruse energies to recover. "If I can't cut through the clouds with 3 types of abstruse energies, maybe I need to use 4, thought Lin Feng. He continued moving away while protecting himself with his godly awareness palace. His enemies didn't want to give him any time to rest though. They were faster than Lin Feng. Lin Feng was lucky that he practiced the Xiao Yao agility technique and could fuse it together with the empty space agility technique and wind abstruse energies. My spirit is a dark-type spirit, I am stronger in the darkness, thought Lin Feng. His eyes became pitch black and ice-cold. Lin Feng was concentrating on the wind. The space around him seemed to calm down even though he was actually still in the middle of all those chaotic energies. Wind, apart from speed, is sharp, destructive and can envelop things, thought Lin Feng, studying the hurricane. No matter what sword technique I use, I can't cut through the wind because it absorbs my sword energies, thought Lin Feng. Kaboom! The intangible cloud hand appeared in the sky again and attacked Lin Feng, making him cough up more blood. His body was propelled backwards again. He then released more vitality abstruse energies to recover. It is important to note that since he was constantly moving backwards, the attack couldn't do the most damage. Otherwise, he'd be a bloody pulp already. Lin Feng's eyes looked sharp, ice-cold, terrifying. He was holding his Tianji sword with both hands and it was emitting sharp, whistling sounds. Nirvana Suanya destruction, thunder, empty space and desolate abstruse energies, but I can include wind abstruse energies in it too. The Tianji sword was glowing with the infusion of 4 types of abstruse energies. The sword already had a few souls: wind, thunder, empty space, and desolate energies. Therefore, condensing them together was a bit easier. Slash, slash. A terrifying wind surrounded Lin Feng again, however, this time Lin Feng didn't escape. His pitch-black eyes made him look like a madman as he pointed his Tianji sword towards the hurricane. The sword itself had turned into a hurricane as well. Kacha! The hurricane tore Lin Feng's clothes apart and unveiled his armor. Lin Feng could still see everything with his pitch-black eyes, even while inside the hurricane. Pierce, said Lin Feng. His Tianji sword turned into a beam of light as it pierced through the hurricane, leaving a hole in its wake. A horrible shriek sounded. The wind was propelled far off into the distance and things quickly calmed down. Blood dripped from the sky and the cultivator's body reappeared. From head to foot he was gravely wounded. Die! Shouted the cultivator furiously. Another cloud hand descended from the sky and tried to oppress Lin Feng. Lin Feng couldn't block the attack, so he disappeared from where he was and appeared in front of the other cultivator, the one who already gravely wounded. He used his sword and slashed shoulder to foot. Another cultivator of the 5th Zun Qi layer was killed. Phew! The cultivator of the 6th Zun Qi layer took a deep breath, but he still looked upset. He had just lost 2 of his friends. Lin Feng turned around, his pitch-black eyes staring into the other cultivator's soul. Come back! That cultivator had his godly awareness retreat from Lin Feng's third eye before saying, "We will meet again, someday." Then he disappeared into the clouds. A cultivator of the 6th Zun Qi layer was actually running away from a Tian-level cultivator. Bullshit, said Yan Di as he landed next to Lin Feng. He hadn't used his full strength yet, he was just being overly cautious. Lin Feng was happy that he had managed to protect himself. Besides, Lin Feng knew that the higher one's cultivation level reached, the more likely their limits would be reached and that they might not level up again. So, the next time they saw each other, that guy might still be at the 6th Zun Qi layer. Chapter 1309, Chaos in Ba Huang. Maybe someone had sent them. They didn't seem to hate me at all, therefore he felt like he didn't have to chance dying because of me, said Lin Feng. Even though the enemies knew his name was Lin Feng, they didn't seem to know much more. Your attacks combining several types of abstruse energies are not bad, but your fusions are not perfect. Otherwise, with 4 types of abstruse energies and your swordsmanship, you could destroy those guys easily. A fusion of 4 types of level 2 abstruse energies is more powerful than 1 level 5 wind abstruse energy, explained Yan Di. Besides, don't be too satisfied. At their level, those people were quite weak. There are real geniuses who have broken through to the 5th Zun Qi layer and their abstruse energies are already level 7 or 8. If you encounter such cultivators, they'll definitely kill you. All right. Lin Feng nodded. Yan Di always seized opportunities to criticize Lin Feng, but Lin Feng knew that he was right. Yan Di had seen enough geniuses in his life to give Lin Feng advice. Lin Feng already knew that his abstruse energy fusions weren't perfect, but what could he do apart from practicing? Having abstruse energies fused together wasn't easy. Apart from learning special spells which required using abstruse energies, which he already didn't want to do because he had decided to walk his own path and rely on himself to understand swords, he couldn't do much. Let's go! A gigantic sword again appeared under Lin Feng and Yan Di's feet before they streaked across the sky. After they left, the young man at the top of the mountain looked furious. Those pieces of trash. They couldn't even manage to kill a cultivator of the Tian Qi layer, said Qi Tiansu. Even if it didn't work this time, at the meeting of the emperors, you'll have the opportunity to kill him, young master, said a cultivator at the top of the Zun Qi layer, smiling. Qi Tiansu and Ho Qinglin were the geniuses of their generation. They were stronger than most Zun cultivators. Unless he was facing a group of extremely strong cultivators, like those from Jiang'e, he wouldn't have to worry. We'll see. In any case, Lin Feng must die, said Qi Tiansu. Murder filled his eyes. The Qi clan hated Lin Feng for many reasons. Amongst those were the 3 cultivators at the top of the Zun Qi layer who had died trying to kill him. Everybody already knew that the Qi clan only had a dozen cultivators at the top of the Zun Qi layer left. Those 3 peak Zun Qi cultivators, 2 sky-absorbing picture scrolls, 1 holy weapon, Qi Tianxing had died, Qi Jiaojiao had been kidnapped. They had to settle accounts with Lin Feng, no matter the cost. Let's go, said Qi Tiansu to the other cultivator. They weren't going to follow Lin Feng. The northern part of Ba Huang was Tiantai's territory, and it wasn't exactly a calm time. There were battles everywhere, even inside Tianjing City. Finally, Lin Feng landed on the flight of stairs leading to Tiantai. Many people came to greet him as he arrived. You're back, said Lin Ruotian, smiling at Lin Feng. They were now on the 8th group of steps and it wasn't that difficult anymore. How come you're injured? Lin Feng sensed that Lin Ruotian was hurt. Lin Feng, you probably still don't know what has changed since you left Ba Huang, said Lin Ruotian, smiling. Tianlong Divine Castle's people attacked me. Our fellow disciples and I were going out, but people from Tianlong Divine Castle were waiting for us. But we killed a bunch of them, said Meng Ba, descending the flight of steps towards them. Tianlong Divine Castle. Lin Feng's eyes were filled with cold lights. What has happened since I left? Asked Lin Feng. Many big things happened. The emperors started fighting after they came back from a smaller country. The Qi clan and the Si Kong clan joined hands to fight the Wen clan. Many of their disciples died in those battles. In the brutal part of Ba Huang, the mountain of flowers and fruit, the island of the Thunderbirds and Mangyo Mountain attacked the bestial imperial palace. In the sanguinary part of Ba Huang, the mysterious abyss of sufferings and the Devamara palace also started fighting, but their disciples fight all the time. In the celestial part of Ba Huang, the celestial thunder temple is rising and it seems that nobody can stop them anymore. They might even annihilate the Heavens of Desire's palace and the Church of Desire. And we're constantly fighting Tianlong Divine Castle and the Sunset Pavilion, explained Meng Ba. He looked excited, like he enjoyed the chaos. Of course, there's a reasonable explanation for all these things. The meeting of the emperors, which happens every 100 years, will influence the entire province. Tiantai hasn't existed for long, but more disciples will be recruited, just for the meeting of the emperors, said Lin Ruotian. Lin Feng had heard Mu Chen talk about the meeting of the emperors before, but he didn't know what it was exactly. Do you know what the meeting of the emperors is? Asked Lin Feng to Lin Ruotian and Meng Ba. I don't know much. Apart from Ba Huang, Jiu Yu is also going to be involved. All in all, many different influential imperial groups and some smaller groups are going to attend. Some people are already starting to rise for the occasion. Even in Tiantai, some of our mysterious disciples are traveling around and doing great things, said Lin Ruotian. Last time, they won against the strong cultivators from Tianlong Divine Castle thanks to a fellow disciple who was actually a direct disciple. He had only broken through to the second Zun Qi layer, but he was strong enough to kill cultivators of the 4th and 5th Zunqi layer. Surprisingly, Jiu Yu is also going to join in, thought Lin Feng. The meeting of the emperors was probably going to be more complex than he had previously imagined, especially considering everything that was already happening in Ba Huang. By the way, Lin Feng Yang Zhan betrayed Tian Tai and joined Tianlong Divine Castle with his sister Yang Zi. The Yang clan is going to move to the western part of Ba Huang soon. Our teachers and fellow disciples don't have time to pay attention to them, but we and some fellow disciples who are going to pay a visit to the Yang clan and take care of them. Do you want to come? Lin Feng had Emperor Wu Tianjian's sword, so he could easily kill cultivators at the top of the Zunqi layer. They're moving, so it must be a trap, reasoned Lin Feng. The Yang clan wasn't that stupid. Of course we know that. The Yang clan moving there is a provocation. They're challenging us because they think they can easily kill us, said Lin Rotian. Who's going? Asked Lin Feng. He couldn't tell them that he couldn't use Emperor Wu Tianjian's sword whenever he wished, and that cultivators of the 5th Zunqi layer or above were a bit too strong for him. Our second fellow disciple is practicing cultivation these days, so Ruoxie is coming and 2 other direct disciples, as well as a few fellow disciples of the Zunqi layer, replied Lin Ruotian. Lin Feng figured that wasn't a bad group, but he was worried that Tianlong Divine Castle would send cultivators at the peak of the Zunqi layer. Chapter 1310, Tiantai's Disaster. Lin Ruotian, tell Ruoxie that Tianlong Divine Castle's people are sly, they've proved it each time I fought them, said Lin Feng. Tianlong Divine Castle had probably been plotting against Tiantai for a while now, so Tiantai needed to be vigilant. Lin Feng, do you intend to come or not? Asked Lin Ruotian. I need to practice cultivation for a few days, so I can't come, said Lin Feng smiling. He didn't explain himself too much. Since he couldn't use Emperor Wu Tianjian's sword, he wouldn't be able to do much there. All right, nodded Lin Ruotian. Lin Feng then walked up the stairs and arrived in Tiantai. Instantly, Lin Feng could sense a strong celestial qi. Meng Qing was sitting on the main road, looking like a goddess. She's still practicing cultivation. Lin Feng smiled. Meng Qing had been practicing cultivation for what seemed like a long time. She was probably about to break through to the Zunqi layer now. Lin Feng continued walking ahead. He didn't want to disturb Meng Qing. With the strength of the Zunqi layer, Meng Qing would probably threaten some mid-ranged Zun cultivators. Lin Feng arrived in front of the mist. In the past, he wasn't able to see through it. Then Lin Feng crossed the mist. Yan Di chose to lie down, nonchalantly. After crossing the mist, Lin Feng saw a silhouette, his own silhouette. However, he was a lot stronger this time. He understood how to control force more so. But Lin Feng wasn't the Lin Feng he used to be. He continued walking and passed in front of his self. Force oppressed him, but his own self did the same. The ground was slightly shaking and his blood started boiling. He took a step forward and a force, 10 times more powerful than Lin Feng's force, crashed on him. Break! Lin Feng attacked it with his sword qi. His sword attacks now contained several types of abstruse energies. His reflection attacked too, but Lin Feng immediately destroyed that attack. Instantly, the mist dispersed. He had succeeded. If I used pure strength, I wouldn't be able to win against myself whose attacks are 10 times more powerful, but using abstruse energies, I easily succeeded, whispered Lin Feng. In front of him, the road and the buildings became even more distinct, but remained somewhat blurry. Lin Feng continued walking, but mist appeared again and another Lin Feng was waiting for him. What was going on? He had defeated his own self once, so why did another Lin Feng appear? Boom! Lin Feng immediately released energies and attacked his self using sword qi. Kaboom! His copy attacked too and the ground shook. Lin Feng sensed that his blood was boiling even more so this time. He had taken a step and had almost coughed up blood. Lin Feng raised his head and observed the force from the earth and sky. Can I do that? Thought Lin Feng. Just where did that force come from? A moment before, his own self's force surpassed his own by 10 times, this one now 100 times that. If I could borrow 100 times more force than I have now, I wouldn't even need skills or techniques. I could kill cultivators of the 4th Zunqi layer like they were ordinary people, thought Lin Feng. When he condensed 2 types of abstruse energies, his attacks were around 5 times more powerful. With 3 types of abstruse energies, another 5 times. Theoretically, he could multiply his strength by up to 25, but that was extremely complicated to realize. It was already difficult to condense 2 kinds of abstruse energies together properly, so in reality, he could multiply the power of his attacks by only 20 or so. If he managed to condense 4 types of abstruse energies properly, the power of his attacks could multiply by 125, but in reality, Lin Feng's real attacks were only multiplied by 60 or 70 at their best. It meant that even with his Tianji sword and 4 types of energies, the power of Lin Feng's attacks were not even multiplied by 100, unless his abstruse energies were fused together perfectly. Die! Lin Feng was filled with an indomitable will as he condensed destructive sword qi with 4 different types of abstruse energies and attacked his clone. Lin Feng had named that attack, Vu Death. However, his other self attacked too and performed a punch attack. Qi rose to the skies and each thread of energy was 100 times more powerful than Lin Feng's normal attacks. His sword qi was immediately destroyed by the punch. At the same, Lin Feng shook violently. Unless I add another kind of abstruse energy, I won't be able to beat the illusion, whispered Lin Feng. The flight of stairs contained a force which was 10 times stronger than his own, but now he was facing an illusion who had a strength 100 times more powerful than his own. If he succeeded, would he then face an illusion of himself who'd have 1,000 times more strength than him? Lin Feng tried using variants of his sword attacks with demonic energies, trying to perfect the attacks. Yan Di glanced at Lin Feng and thought, Tiantai's emperors racked their brains to create such exercises for their disciples to practice. They used enlightenment strength, not bad. Lin Feng didn't notice the time pass. He fought himself for 10 days. On that 10th day, many people arrived in Tiantai. The leader of the group was the best of the Zun-level disciples who had become a direct disciple. His eyes were bloodshot and he looked furious. Rua Xie was surrounded by other imperial cultivation disciples who looked just as ferocious, hideous. All the Tian-level cultivators who were there had lost at least an arm, meaning blood was dripping everywhere. What's going on? Rua Xie, brother. Tian Long Divine Castle, they indeed have sly methods, said Lin Rua Tian. Rua Xie, said Tian Chi the Buddhist monk. What happened? Did you bring an empty space boat? Brother, the Yang clan and Tian Long Divine Castle joined hands to attack us. The Yang clan didn't intend to move at all. When we went to their clan, the around us suddenly closed. Zun cultivators from Tian Long Divine Castle and the Yang clan joined hands and started killing our Zun cultivators. They didn't kill any of the Tian level cultivators, they just cut off their arms. When I broke through the empty space, it was already to this point. Brother, there must be traitors inside Tiantai, said Lin Rua Tian. Tian Long Divine Castle and the Yang clan wanted Tiantai to collapse on itself. Traitors? Tian Chi the Buddhist monk said, have the people from Tian Long Divine Castle and the Yang clan left? No, they haven't. When we left, they said they'd wait for Tiantai to come back again, that they'd kill all our Zun cultivators then and cut the arms off of all our Tian-level cultivators. I don't believe they dispatched their best cultivators yet. Tian Long must have even stronger cultivators in the background, said Rosya. Chapter 1311. Going to the Yang clan. Tian Chi remained silent for a moment after hearing out Lin Rua Tian. It was difficult to control all the imperial cultivation disciples in Tiantai. In the past, traitors weren't a problem because the tensions between the different influential imperial groups weren't as bad, so traitors were pointless. But it was different now. There were battles everywhere in Ba Huang, great wars even. Tian Long Divine Castle had probably sent some people last time to participate in the recruitment process of Tiantai. It seems like Tian Long Divine Castle really wants to destroy Tiantai this time, while preparing for the meeting of the emperors. Thought Tian Chi. Tian Long Divine Castle was now occupying the Yang clan's territory, thus provoking Tiantai in their own territory. Of course, Tianqi knew that Tianlong Divine Castle was a powerful group. They had existed for thousands of years, so they obviously had to have plenty of strong cultivators at the top of the Zunqi layer even. Tiantai only had 2 cultivators at the top of the Zunqi layer, Mu Chen and another disciple, but their second fellow disciple was also about to reach the top of the Zunqi layer. 10 years later, Tiantai would probably a lot stronger, but that implied they made it that far. What happened? Lin Feng heard what Lin Ruotian had said. They had cut 1 arm off each of the Tian level cultivators because they couldn't recover them at the Tian level. Lin Feng, Tianlong Divine Castle attacked us. Lin Ruotian's face was deathly pale. He explained everything to Lin Feng again. The Yang clan also dares fight. Lin Feng hadn't expected that. I still have some vitality water, heal yourselves first, said Lin Feng, taking out a jar of vitality water and giving some to everybody. Vitality water could help cultivators grow missing body parts and even increase their strength. Even after Ruoxie used it, he sensed an incredible vitality flow throughout his body. After Lin Ruotian, Meng Ba and the other Tian-level cultivators used the vitality water, their cheeks were filled with color again. Lin Feng also released vitality abstruse energies on them, however, their arms still couldn't grow back. They would need to wait to break through to the Zunqi layer before they could condense their blood and grow back limbs. Vitality abstruse energies. Everybody was surprised. Lin Feng controlled vitality abstruse energies as well. Lin Ruotian was relieved after that. Even though Lin Feng couldn't regrow their arms, he had at least disinfected their wounds, so they wouldn't rot. Lin Feng, thank you. At least the wounds won't get worse now, and when I break through to the Zunqi layer, I'll be able to make my arm grow back, said Lin Ruotian, feeling grateful. It's just an arm. I'll soon break through to the Zunqi layer. I'm not feeling that dispirited, said Meng Ba. He was still annoyed though. We're brothers, said Lin Feng, smiling and shaking his head. They had done a lot for him in the past, so he would make sure to take care of them. Brother, what do you intend to do? Asked Lin Feng to Tianqi. Our great disciple is secretive about his whereabouts. Our second fellow disciple is about to reach the top of the Zunqi layer, so we are limited at the moment. Tianlong Divine Castle is also motivated to annihilate us now, so they'll use their full strength, said Tianqi. Everybody looked dispirited. They all felt guilty for being so weak. Brother, Tianlong Divine Castle is in northern Ba Huang and they're provoking us. Can we sit here and do nothing? Said a Zun cultivator furiously. Wang Xiao, what should we do in your opinion? Asked Tianqi to that Zun cultivator. Can't we contact our great fellow disciple? Asked Wang Xiao. If Mu Chen participated, he could destroy Tianlong Divine Castle's people. But Tianqi shook his head, making everybody feel dispirited. Besides that, we can interrupt our second disciple in his cultivation, or we can gather all our strong cultivators and go to the Yang clan. It's important to remember that Lin Feng has Emperor Wu Tianjian's sword, so he can easily kill cultivators at the top of the Zunqi layer. We must get our revenge, said Wang Xiao. Tianqi nodded and looked at Lin Feng. What do you think, Lin Feng? You can decide, I'll follow, said Lin Feng in a low voice. Tianqi remained silent and said, wait for me, I'm going to the sky above the sky to see if I can't interrupt our second fellow disciple while he's practicing. Lin Feng, Ruoxie, Qing Tian, come with me. Lin Feng, Ruoxie, and Mo Qing Tian were all the emperor's direct disciples, so they were permitted to go to the sky above the sky. The 4 of them left. Lin Feng looked at Mo Qing Tian, who according to Tianqi, was also one of his 10 fellow disciples. Mo Qing Tian was wearing a robe with stars on it. He looked young and particularly handsome. He looked at Lin Feng, smiled and nodded. I heard of your achievements, you seem outstanding. You're flattering me, brother, said Lin Feng, smiling and shaking his head. They soon arrived in the sky above the sky and they landed in a calm and tranquil mountain, but it seemed like Emperor Yu wasn't there. What do you think? Asked Tianqi. Are you talking about Wang Xiao? Asked Mo Qing Tian, smiling thinly. Indeed, said Tianqi, nodding. We first need to ask Mu Chen, then we can check if our second fellow disciple can stop practicing. If he's really the traitor, it'd mean that Tianlong is only worried about Mu Chen and that they even want to kill our second disciple. Ruo Xie looked upset. Ruo Xie, did you just use telepathy to tell me that Tianlong Divine Castle released you for a purpose? Yes, otherwise I couldn't have come back. They only let me off to further infuriate Tante, replied Ruo Xie. Wang Xiao seems to be in a hurry. Isn't he worried that we suspect him? Asked Tianqi smiling. There are two possibilities. The first one is he is not a traitor. The second is that he's a traitor and maybe that they're not even afraid of Mu Chen, but pretend to be. That would explain why Wang Xiao tried to make us believe that they're afraid of him, but we can't come to any conclusions yet, said Emo Qing Tian. You're right, the second possibility is even more probable, said Tianqi. Lin Feng looked at them and sighed. What should we do? Asked Ruo Xie indifferently. If it was the second possibility, it meant that Tianlong Divine Castle really wanted to destroy Tiantai. Everything's possible, we'll just have to see how Tianlong Divine Castle intends to destroy Tiantai, said Tianqi. Let's get prepared, so tomorrow morning we can go to the Yang clan, said Tianqi. Everybody nodded and left. Lin Feng went back outside. Everybody was still there, many of whom looked furious. So what's the plan? Asked Lin Ruo Tian to Lin Feng. We're going to the Yang clan tomorrow morning, said Lin Feng to everyone. They all looked furious. A celestial chi fell down on Tiantai as a huge boat appeared in the sky. It was a peerless holy weapon, capable of incredible speeds. Later, there were 100 strong cultivators from Tiantai on the boat, preparing to invade the Yang clan. Are you all aware that we could die there? You can decide not to come now and nobody will blame you, especially you Tian-level cultivators, said Tianqi, but nobody decided to give up. There were even some Tian-level cultivators on the boat who only had one arm from their last bout. Once Tianqi saw that nobody was leaving, he said, "All right then, let's go." The boat rose up in the air and streaked across the sky in the direction of the Yang clan. They are tuning in to the Passion Pages YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.